Chapter 1107 Mystical Soul World. Su Xiaoshui said curiously as he stood on Su Yi's shoulder. On the other hand, Su Yi was overjoyed. He finally had the method to set up the mystical soul world. He had wanted to study it for a long time, but he didn't have the resources to do so. Back when he was in the information room of Juqian Palace, he only had a rough idea. He couldn't find a specific method to set it up at all. Big brother, the method you mentioned before is to use this mystical soul world to deal with the people of Big Dipper sect? Su Yi immediately figured out the crux of the matter. Only then did he know that this was where his big brother's confidence came from. Indeed, with this fire mystic sun world, even the lowest level of the mystical soul world would definitely cause Big Dipper sect to suffer a great loss if they were caught off guard. However, just as he was feeling happy, Su Yi frowned again as he thought of some problems. Big brother, didn't you say that even the simplest mystical soul world requires many soul controllers to set up together? Su Yi asked. He was very puzzled. He understood that the mystical soul world was extremely powerful. It was different from ordinary methods and could only be set up by soul controllers. However, under normal circumstances, if a mystical soul world was to be truly set up, many soul controllers had to work together and work together. In addition, the leader of the soul controllers had to be exceptionally strong. If one wanted to set it up alone, it would be harder than ascending to heaven unless one's soul power was extremely strong. Su Yi thought for a moment and knew that with his big brother's current cultivation, he could probably become the leader of the soul controllers. However, without the help of others, how could his big brother do it? As for Su Yi, he really didn't feel that with his current understanding of the mystical soul world, he could help his big brother too much. Most importantly, he was only one person. However, after hearing Su Yi's words, Merciless West smiled mysteriously again. She raised her chin and body, showing her arrogance. Su Yi stared at Merciless West and was stunned for a moment. Only at a certain moment, as if he had thought of something, his eyes suddenly lit up. Big brother, your soul force, Su Yi said, but before he could finish, he was interrupted by Merciless West. You guessed right. The black-robed old man chuckled and said proudly, after consuming the Extreme Emperor Heavenly Soul Pill, my soul force received a huge boost, but this is still not the most important thing. Su Yi and Handsome Su were both stunned by the sudden pause in her speech. Without waiting for them to ask, Merciless West continued, most importantly, the quality of my soul has reached the heavenly grade. I can already set up the phantom world on my own. After saying that, Merciless West narrowed her eyes and looked at Su Yi and Handsome Su. After seeing their shocked expressions, he felt extremely satisfied. A person with a heaven-grade soul quality was hard to find in this world. It was hard to find 1 out of 10 million soul controllers. It was definitely something to be proud of. Looking at the world, if such a person appeared, even 1 mountain, 2 churches, 3 sects, and 4 factions would treat them as a future peerless powerhouse and would not hesitate to invest endless resources in them. For someone like Merciless West, who is already extremely strong, there would definitely be many factions willing to pay a huge price to have her take charge of their sect. But just as Merciless West was feeling proud, Handsome Su suddenly muttered, Big brother soul quality seems to be higher than the heavenly grade. This sentence instantly made Merciless West furious. She wanted nothing more than to slap Handsome Su and send him flying. Damn it, Su Yi, this guy. Even the Yutian Palace in Zhongzhou City could not detect his true soul quality. This was a complete freak, okay? How many people could be compared to him? Congratulations, big brother. The quality and level of your soul have both greatly improved. Seeing that the atmosphere was about to change, Su Yi hurriedly put on a serious face and said seriously. At the same time, he was really overjoyed at this moment. His big brother Merciless West's soul had been transformed. Of course, Su Yi was overjoyed. At the same time, it was also greatly beneficial to the Bawang sect. This is great. With this fire mystic sun realm, we'll have a lot more confidence in dealing with the Tiangang sect. Su Yi held back his excitement and said so. Merciless West's expression softened. She rolled her eyes at handsome Sue and said, "Study this fire mystic sun realm. It's very beneficial for your understanding of the phantom spirit world. Also, time is tight. It can help me a little when the time comes." Sue nodded. Suddenly, he thought of something and took out an item from his space bag. "Big brother, I have something here. Take a look." A carved plate with an 8 trigrams pattern was handed to Merciless West. It was also engraved with the sun, moon, and stars. Formation plate? Merciless West was curious and immediately lowered her head to take a look. In an instant, her expression changed abruptly. She felt a powerful force emerging from the formation plate in her hand, wanting to tear her soul apart. Merciless West's feet swayed. Fortunately, her soul power was strong. After a slight circulation, she stabilized her body. Her face was full of shock. "Good heavens, this thing is extraordinary." Shock was written all over Shi Wuqing's face. He was incomparably shocked and asked in horror, "How did you get such a terrifying thing, boy?" "I found it by accident in the secret realm of ominous spirits." "Big brother, can you tell what it is?" Su Yi said with a faint smile. This 8 trigrams formation plate was obtained by Su Yi in the cave. It was an accessory to another inheritance left by the demon Emperor Skylie. It was the phantom spirit world used by the Tian Yao school 9,000 years ago to guard the mountain gate. It was called the 10,000 Demons Deity Refining Formation. At that time, this thing had caught Su Yi off guard and almost killed him. Later, after using the formation plate to store the 10,000 Demons Deity Refining Formation, his soul power was exhausted. He slept in the cave for 3 whole days before he recovered. Therefore, Su Yi knew how powerful the 10,000 Demons Deity Refining Formation was. However, the Tian Yao school was very important, so he didn't dare to tell others. It wasn't that he didn't trust Merciless West. "Good stuff. Good stuff. Can you let me study this thing carefully?" Shi Wuqing's eyes flickered. He took the disc array in his hand and looked at it over and over again. His fondness for it was obvious from his expression. He said with great excitement, "If we can study this thing thoroughly, let alone the Big Dipper sect, I reckon that even if the 3 first-class forces come, it'll be enough to make them suffer the consequences." As she spoke, Merciless West's body trembled. Her face was full of excitement. "Big brother, take it and study it. If this thing can be used, it would be great." So he was also happy. He wasn't stingy at all and said straightforwardly, "You brat." Merciless West suddenly looked a little angry. She looked at Su Yi and said, "Do you know how precious this thing is? Are you really going to give it to me to study so casually?" Su Yi was stunned. Then he said matter-of-factly, "You are my big brother. No matter how precious this thing is, it can't compare to the feelings you have for protecting me. What belongs to me, Su Yi, is naturally my big brother's. There is no distinction between us at all." Merciless West was stunned when she heard this, but at the same time, she felt a warm current flowing through her heart. Me, and me. Big brother and boss's things are also my things." Su Xiaoshui raised a wing and said loudly. Su Yi and Merciless West were amused. "Brat, this thing is called a spell disc. The Chiman illusionary spirit world is engraved on it. It is a terrifying technique. Normally, the Chiman illusionary spirit world is set up using the terrain and the surrounding environment. Once it is engraved on a certain place, it cannot be moved. Once there is a change, the entire Chiman illusionary spirit world will be paralyzed, and it will need to be rearranged from the beginning. A %\D0H onto chapter unspecified currency section, but this spell disc is very different. It can contain the Chiman illusionary spirit world completely. When you need to use it, you can summon it directly with your soul energy and provide it with enough energy. Then, you can use it without taking into account the terrain and environment. All the spell inscriptions inside can be embedded into anything. Some can even float in the void without any support." Merciless West looked at Su Yi and said seriously, "I see." Su Yi nodded. He had gained some knowledge again. However, he wasn't shocked. After all, he was already mentally prepared. This thing came from the Tian Yao school. Just these 3 words were enough to explain everything. The Chiman illusionary spirit world is also divided into strong and weak. There are many ways to do it. I'll tell you the details later. Boy, we still need some time to go back. I'll study it first. You should also study the Leaf Fire Mystic Sun world. If everything goes well, the Leaf Fire Mystic Sun world won't be used at all. Merciless West said one last sentence. Then, she let Su-Yi summon another barbaric demon beast as a mount. She didn't have a mood to fly with Su-Yi and Little Handsome Su. She immersed herself in the study of the 8-trigram spell disc and soon became intoxicated. Seeing Merciless West like this, Su-Yi smiled helplessly. However, he was also secretly looking forward to it. If Big Brother could study the 10,000 demons refining God array, maybe it could really be like what Merciless West said. Not to mention a second-rate force like the Heavenly Dipper sect. Even the 3 first-rate forces would have to peel off a layer of skin in this terrifying Chiman illusionary spirit world. Return at full speed. Inform Nangong Mingyue to bring her people to see me. Su-Yi instructed the Mystic Sun Golden Demon Falcon. Then, he let the Wolf-Head Demonic Bat go to the place where the Feng family village was originally located to inform Nangong Mingyue and the others. After finishing the instructions, Su-Yi gently closed his eyes and began to study the contents of the scroll. The Leaf Fire Mystic Sun world was a Chiman illusionary spirit world that focused on killing. A powerful soul controller could draw the fire attribute energy between heaven and earth by carving mysterious patterns and produce leaf fire essence, which could be hidden in the Chiman illusionary spirit world. Chapter 1108. Su-Yi was completely engrossed in studying the leaf fire mysterious sun realm. If it was said that when he first found out about the existence of the illusory world, it was as if he had opened the door to a new world. Then now, Su-Yi had truly taken a step forward from the door and was able to peek at some of the scenes behind the door. Su-Yi might not be able to fully comprehend the leaf fire mysterious sun realm this time, but it was enough for him to get started. Time passed quickly. The Xianyang Golden Demonic Falcon flew at full speed. At sunset on the 3rd day, the group returned to the territory occupied by the Yin-Yang Underworld Emperor. We're finally back. Su-Yi and Merciless West jumped down from the Xianyang Golden Demonic Falcon's back. Then, Su-Yi opened the mysterious space and brought out the Green Emperor, the Yin-Yang Underworld Emperor, the Devouring Spirit Sovereign, Huang Jian, and the others. In addition, the Frost Demonic Dragon, the Flaming Winged Demonic Tiger, and the other brute demonic beasts that had left the secret realm of ominous spirits with him also came out. These brute demonic beasts had obtained great benefits in the mysterious space. When they came out, they all looked at Su-Yi with gratitude. Feng Qi has been in seclusion for a long time. Her progress is very fast. In the mysterious space, Su-Yi, Merciless West, and the others saw Feng Qi was sitting cross-legged on the ground. The aura around her body was extremely vigorous. A sharp aura emanated from her body. She was much more powerful than the previous Feng Qi. The cultivation technique that I gave her is not ordinary. However, the cultivation process is not easy. Everything depends on her luck. Merciless West's eyes flashed with anticipation. Once Feng Qi, Calamity Qi, and Poison Soul were used well, it would be a very terrifying technique. Merciless West also hoped that she could cultivate it successfully. Let's get ready. Who knows when the Big Dipper sect will come? Su-Yi looked at Merciless West and asked, "Big Brother, how's your study of the array board going?" He was also curious and wanted to know if his big brother could successfully control the disc array with his cultivation base. Hearing Su-Yi's question, Merciless West was overjoyed and said, "This disc array is very magical. I have never seen or heard of anything like it in my life. This research has really benefited me a lot." Hearing his agitated words, Su-Yi could roughly understand how Merciless West was feeling. He understood how terrifying the 10,000 demons refining God formation was. However, While Merciless West was excited, she sighed. It's a pity that with my cultivation, I can't understand this disk formation at all. After studying it for a short period of time, I think I only know a little about it. The illusory soul world inside the disk array is definitely a world-shaking object. Then, can we use this disk array now? Sui asked. He looked at Merciless West closely, hoping to hear a definite answer. In fact, he could probably open the disk array and set it up in this area. However, Sui was very clear that his soul power wasn't strong enough. The last time he kept the disk array, he was knocked out for 3 days and 3 nights. If it were to happen again, Sui felt that the Big Dipper sect might be knocking on his door by the time he woke up. However, Merciless West was different. He was at the 7th level of the Origin Emperor realm. Not to mention the quality of his soul, just the level of his soul power would definitely surpass Sui by a lot. If he could open the 10,000 demons refining God formation, Sui would be completely confident in dealing with the Big Dipper sect. I can give it a try. However, I have to remind you that this illusory soul world is definitely very powerful. It requires a large amount of origin stones to operate. Merciless West said, Is that so? At the mention of origin stones, Sui frowned. He still had some origin stones in his interspatial bag. It was obtained from selling over 30 quotas to the Shinjian sect and Lioha sect in the 9-star city. There was a total of over 700,000 2-star origin stones. If it was converted to 1-star origin stones, it would be over 70 million. Speaking of which, this was indeed a huge sum. If it was the Sui in the past, he wouldn't even dare to imagine it. He originally planned to use it to repay the Spirit Treasure Pavilion's debt, but he didn't have time to do so. Big brother, give it a try. In order to deal with the Big Dipper sect, this bit of consumption is nothing. Sui gritted his teeth and said, Compared to everyone's lives, Sui naturally felt that origin stones weren't that important anymore. Over 700,000 2-star origin stones. Sui thought that it should be enough. All right, then I'll give it a try. When the time comes, we can first operate it and see the effect. This way, we can save origin stones. When the people of the Big Dipper sect really come, we can invest more origin stones to trap and kill them. Merciless West nodded. Then, without hesitation, she directly displayed a vigorous soul power and poured it into the disk array in her hand. Voila! In an instant, a misty light flew out and spread out like a light net. With Sui and Merciless West as the center, it encompassed the entire range of the small mountain gate. It seemed to have a radius of a few miles. The illusory soul world in this disk array is very strong. I can only open it to this extent. I estimate that if its power is fully displayed, it is likely to cover more than 100 miles. But I dare not rashly activate it. Otherwise, my soul power will definitely be exhausted. Then it will be troublesome. Merciless West looked at the surrounding sky and said aloud. Sui rose into the air with him and looked around. However, the misty light that appeared before was now completely withdrawn. It was truly hidden in the mountains and forests of the earth, leaving no trace behind. This was probably the power of the 10,000 demons refining deities array. Otherwise, the illusory soul world that was set up by ordinary people would probably leave some engraved patterns, which would become clues for others to break through. This range should be enough. It may not be too difficult to trap and kill the people of the Big Dipper sect. Sui muttered to himself. Although the naked eye could no longer see the traces of the 10,000 demons refining deities array, through his soul power, Sui could still detect some subtle fluctuations. That was the power of the 10,000 demons refining deities array itself. Once he threw in origin stones, the 10,000 demons refining deities array would operate and many traces would become more blurred. At the same time, it would produce a powerful sealing, killing, and hallucinating force. Kid, take out your origin stones and put some in that place. Merciless West held the array disc in his hand. After carefully sensing it, he stretched out his hand and pointed. Sui looked in the direction he pointed. It was a flat ground not far from the two of them. That place was ordinary, and there was nothing special about it. However, Sui knew that it must be the energy center of the 10,000 demons refining deities array. If the 10,000 demons refining deities array wanted to operate, it would need to provide energy through this place. Origin stones. Sui took out a space bag, then took out some origin stones from it, and placed them in the place that Merciless West pointed at. However, when he saw his actions, Merciless West's face changed. "Kid, why are you so stingy? You want to operate the illusory soul world with just a few dozen origin stones?" Merciless West's face was very long. He stared at Sui and said with great dissatisfaction, "This kid actually only took out a few dozen origin stones. What did he take the illusory soul world to be? Was it so easy to dismiss? Haha, aren't I afraid of wasting it? I'll just slowly add it in." Sui smiled and put down the origin stones in his hand. With a buzz, several dozen origin stones flashed with a bright light, then directly turned into a handful of ash powder. The energy inside was completely absorbed, but the entire 10,000 demons refining deities array did not have any reaction. Sui smiled awkwardly. He knew that this was because the origin stones were put in too little. It could not support the operation of the illusory soul world at all. He steeled his heart. This time, he took out 1,000 pieces of 2-star origin stones all at once and placed them all on the ground. Swoosh, another burst of light flashed past. The same situation, all of the origin stones turned to ashes. But the entire 10,000 demons refining deities array still did not have any reaction at all. Even the most ordinary illusory soul world also won't be what 1,000 pieces of 2-star origin stones can activate, let alone that this illusory soul world is still extremely extraordinary. If you're so stingy, we might as well put it away. Merciless West rolled her eyes and looked at Sui with disdain. "Boss, put in a little more. Try putting in 10,000 origin stones." On Sui's shoulder, handsome Sui could not stand it anymore at this time and opened his mouth to say. At this time, only the two of them and a bird were present. The rest of the people had been driven away, not letting the Green Emperor and the others watch here. Otherwise, it was likely that they would not be the only ones who would roll their eyes at Sui. "Let me try again." Sui glanced at handsome Sui. After a slight hesitation, he really took out 10,000 pieces of 2-star origin stones in one go and placed all of them on the ground. In an instant, the 10,000 origin stones burned like phosphorescence, emitting a brilliant light. It was not until a breath later that this gaze gradually withdrew. "It still doesn't work." Merciless West held the array disc and said with a frown. He activated his soul power and poured it into the array disc in his hand, but it was not enough to control the operation of the strange gate illusory spirit world. More than 10,000 2-star origin stones were poured into it, but the huge amount of energy was like a clay ox entering the sea. There was no reaction at all. "Big brother, how many origin stones would it take to operate the most ordinary strange gate illusory spirit world?" Sui felt a little heartache. More than 10,000 2-star origin stones, but there was no reaction from the 10,000 demons refining deity array. He could not help but ask Merciless West. Normally, more than 10,000 2-star origin stones would be able to maintain the operation of an ordinary strange gate illusory spirit world for a period of time. Of course, that kind of strange gate illusory spirit world is very ordinary and not very powerful. It is definitely far inferior to this one. Merciless West said. He was very sure that this 10,000 demons refining deity array was terrifying because this strange gate illusory spirit world had an array disk. Just this point alone was enough to determine its strength. However, Merciless West could not say exactly how many origin stones would be needed to operate it. Probably, he could only test it bit by bit and slowly pour in more origin stones to see the final effect. If that's the case, then let's give it another try. Sui thought for a while and took out some origin stones again. Chapter 1109. Swoosh! Another 10,000 primordial stones were thrown in, and there was another burst of light. That was the energy of the primordial stones being devoured. There was already a thick layer of dust on the ground, which was the remains of the primordial stones. At this time, a total of more than 20,000 primordial stones were placed in the 10,000 demons' refining deity array, but there was still no reaction. No matter how Merciless West activated the disc in his hand, he could not activate the entire mystical illusionary spirit world. It's still not enough. Su-Yi gritted his teeth and took out a lot of primordial stones in several batches. Once, twice, thrice, after 5 batches, a total of more than 70,000 primordial stones were thrown in. Su-Yi's heart trembled a little, and he felt an incomparable heartache. However, the energy of the 70,000 primordial stones was completely devoured by the 10,000 demons' refining deity array, but there was still no change in the surroundings. Regarding this, Su-Yi and Handsome Su were stunned. It can't be right. So many 2-star primordial stones, but there is no movement at all. This doesn't make sense. Merciless West frowned. He held the disc in his hand and studied it repeatedly, but he could not find anything. The entire 10,000 demons refining deity array did not react. Let's gather 100,000 primordial stones first. Maybe it will work. Su-Yi thought to himself. Enduring the heartache, he increased the number of primordial stones to 100,000. But the cruel thing was that everything was the same as before. Boss, the mystical illusionary spirit world engraved in your disc can't be fake, right? Handsome Su swallowed a mouthful of saliva and stared at Su-Yi as he said. He also felt that it was inconceivable. At first, he thought that Su-Yi was too stingy. Now that he threw in 100,000 2-star primordial stones, there was no reaction at all. This made Handsome Su question. 100,000 2-star primordial stones, if converted to 1-star primordial stones, would be 10 million. 10 million. This was not a small number. It can't be fake. Su-Yi shook his head and said, before I got this disc, I was once trapped in this mystical illusionary spirit world. It was very dangerous, so I'm very sure that this mystical illusionary spirit world is not a problem. Su-Yi said, but he did not elaborate. From the bottom of his heart, Su-Yi knew that there was no problem with the 10,000 demon refining god array. Otherwise, his master, the demon Arch, would have told him. If Tian Yao School's products were so easy to malfunction, would they still be Tian Yao School's products? Is that so? Merciless West was also suspicious at first, but hearing Su-Yi's words, she felt relieved in her heart. That can only mean that this strange, illusory spirit world is much more terrifying than I imagined. Perhaps another 100,000 primeval stones would be needed to activate it, but it was also possible that if you threw in a few more primal stones, it could be activated. But I can't say for sure which type it is, so you should decide for yourself whether you want to continue the test. Merciless West said seriously. This was an incomparably huge investment. Even if Su-Yi used up all of his primordial stones, it wouldn't have much effect. But at the same time, perhaps if he worked a little harder, he would be able to see the 10,000 demons' divine refining array begin to operate. I don't believe this. Su-Yi clenched his teeth tightly, steeled his heart, and said in a deep voice, let's try again. Hula, in an instant, he took out another primal stone and threw it on the ground in front of him. This time, Su-Yi directly took out 100,000 2-star primal stones. It could be said that he was ruthless. He felt that no matter how strong this 10,000 demon refining god array was, about 200,000 2-star primal stones would be enough to activate a little. Otherwise, if it was just burning primal stones, which mountain sect could withstand such a huge consumption? Chi, Su-Yi, Su Xiaoshui, and Merciless West all looked at the pile of primal stones on the ground with sparkling eyes. Under the devouring of the 10,000 demon refining god array, they quickly turned from crystal clear to grayish white. This scene was like a pile of firewood rapidly burning and turning into ashes. There should be a reaction now. Su-Yi kept muttering in his heart, looking around from time to time, wanted to see the changes in the entire 10,000 demon refining god array. At the same time, He also constantly stared at the array disc in Merciless West's hand, wanting to see if there would be any movements on it. Chi, the two people and one bird were all somewhat nervous, very much wanting to know the final result. Very soon, when the 100,000 two-star primal stones were about to burn out, the massive 10,000 demon refining god array suddenly emitted a tremor. There's movement. He was pleasantly surprised and almost jumped up. There's really a reaction. Merciless West was also excited. They finally saw a change. There was a strange rhythm fluctuating in the surroundings, which they sensed. A mysterious scene appeared in the surroundings, as if a slight illusion appeared, making people feel a sense of disorientation and dizziness. But this feeling was not strong, completely not as powerful as the normal mystical gate illusionary spirit world should have. Big Brother, quickly activated. He shouted excitedly. Without his reminder, Merciless West had already begun to use her soul force to sense the array disc, wanting to start controlling the 10,000 demon refining god array to see what kind of effect it would have when it was activated. Even if the 200,000 primal stones could only be used for less than half a cup of tea's time, it would be enough. Her soul force surged, pouring into the array disc like a river. Unknowingly, Merciless West could feel that she could perceive many magical aspects of the mystical gate illusionary spirit world. With the array disc in her hand, it was as if she was everywhere, knowing every place like the back of her hand. Moreover, Merciless West knew that she could use the array disc to transfer the power within and use it to fight against the enemy. Latest chapter, section F, A0U activate. She let out such a voice in her heart, and then released her soul force into the array disc. Through the connection of the array disc, she wanted to activate the entire mystical gate illusionary spirit world. A vast and mighty aura appeared out of nowhere, as if it came from the ancient times. The aura was awe-inspiring and oppressive, causing people to feel a sense of awe. Such an aura made Merciless West, and handsome Sue all excited. But in the next instant, the smiles on their faces froze. With a buzzing sound, the terrifying aura in the 10,000 demon refining god array appeared for less than a breath's time, and then suddenly retreated like flowing water. Some of the light that originally appeared in the surroundings was like a candle that had been blown out, and there was no longer any light. That vast and mighty aura disappeared into thin air, and in an instant, it disappeared without a trace. Turn it. Merciless West patted the array disc in her hand and said with a bitter face. However, no matter how she tried to communicate with her soul force, she could not make the slightest bit of movement. What's going on? He felt a toothache as he looked at his big brother, Merciless West, and asked. He still had not figured out the situation. The 10,000 demon refining god array clearly had a huge change just now. So why did it disappear all of a sudden, as if it had never happened? It must be that the vitality stones are not enough. Boss, take out another 100,000. This time, it can definitely last for a period of time. Handsome Sue flapped his wings and flew in front of Sue-E, saying loudly. Sue-E felt that it made sense and prepared to take out another 100,000 vitality stones. He had already thrown in 200,000 vitality stones. Since such a huge movement had occurred this time, Sue-E felt that if he put in another 100,000 vitality stones, it would definitely be able to make the 10,000 demon refining god array operate. As long as this effect could be achieved, who cared about vitality stones? No matter how much his heart ached, he had to put it in. However, his actions were stopped by Merciless West. Don't put it in. Merciless West let Sue-E put the vitality stones back into the space bag and said solemnly, "The strange gate illusory spirit world that you have obtained is much more terrifying than I imagined. Putting in another 100,000 vitality stones might be able to make it operate for a while, but there's no point in doing so." Sue-E raised his eyebrows and wanted to say something, but he was interrupted by Merciless West. "How many vitality stones do you have on you?" Even if you put all of them in, it would probably only make the strange gate illusory spirit world operate slightly. It wouldn't be able to unleash much power at all. If you want to unleash its full power, this amount is probably far from enough. Let's not waste any more. Merciless West sighed and continued. Leave the remaining vitality stones to set up the leaf, fire, mystic sun realm. You have to know that when the strange gate illusory spirit world operates at full speed, it also consumes a lot of vitality stones. I feel that if you want to deal with the Tiangang sect, just a few 100,000 2-star vitality stones might be a little insufficient. Listening to Merciless West's words, he seemed to hear the sound of his heart breaking. 200,000 2-star vitality stones were gone just like that. And then he felt the movement just now. He felt wronged in his heart, and the corner of his eyes kept twitching. He was about to go crazy. Of course, He understood what Merciless West meant. To put it simply, if he wanted to make the 10,000 demons refining deity array operate at full speed, based on the current situation, it was not something that a few 100,000 2-star vitality stones could achieve. Therefore, there was no point in continuing to try. Otherwise, he wouldn't even be able to support the consumption of the leaf fire mystic sun realm. Boss, don't be agitated. Seeing Su Yi's face turn green and red, handsome Su quickly comforted him. I'm not agitated. Su Yi's face was cold, and he said in a daze. He was indeed not agitated, but his heart was aching. 200,000 2-star vitality stones. This was a hard-earned wealth. If it was thrown into the water, there would be a loud splash. In the end, it only had a short-lived effect here. Keep this array disc for yourself first. It seems like there's no way to use it this time. You can slowly study in the future. Merciless West used his soul power and stored the 10,000 demons, refining deity, array back into the array disc. He didn't care about Su Yi's heartache and threw the array disc to him. Then he said, "Give me all the vitality stones you have, and then help me draw the leaf fire mystic sun realm." The corner of Su Yi's mouth kept twitching. He looked at the array disc in his hand with both love and hatred. He was thinking if the 10,000 demons refining deity array exerted its full power, how terrifying would the consumption of vitality stones be? At that rate, which mountain sect could bear it? Chapter 11:10. At this point, Su Yi had no way to change the outcome. 200,000 2-star primordial stones were all wasted this time. Although he was heartbroken, he still gave the remaining primordial stones to his big brother, Merciless West. If we really want to deal with the Heavenly Dipper sect, these primordial stones are probably not enough. Can you think of a way to get some more? Merciless West said with a frown. Let's deal with the Heavenly Dipper sect first. When the time comes, there will be a lot of primordial stones. Su Yi said after thinking for a while. He had a plan in his heart. If these primordial stones were not enough for the time being, perhaps he could consider going to the Xinjian sect and the Liuhe sect to borrow some. Of course, this would only be done in a situation where it was really not enough. Su Yi did not want to owe too many favors. Boss, are you talking about the primordial stone mine? Su Xiaoshui asked curiously. A few months ago, Nangong Ningyue told Su Yi that she had news of a primordial stone mine. Su Yi was planning to mine it after returning from the Alliance Conference. However, the most important thing now was to deal with the Heavenly Dipper sect. Listening to Su Xiaoshui's question, Su Yi nodded, but then shook his head and said, not only the primordial stone mine, but also the Gimdeo sect and the 7-star sword school. Thinking about it, there should be some primordial stones stored in these two third-rate forces. At the end of his words, Su Yi's mouth revealed a cold smile, and his eyes bloomed like lightning. Merciless West and Su Xiaoshui were stunned when they heard this. They immediately understood that Su Yi was planning to rob them openly. However, with the Gimdeo sect and the 7-star sword school's actions, Boang sect indeed had no reason to let them go. Those two third-rate forces were bound to be destroyed. With your personality, coming to the chaos realm is like a bird returning to the forest. Merciless West suddenly sighed. As he got to know Su Yi more and more, he felt that the chaos realm, where there were no rules and everything depended on strength, was the most suitable place for Su Yi. He looked deeply at the young man in front of him and then said again, "Prepare to set up the fire mystic sun realm. It will take some time to set it up." Before he finished speaking, Merciless West turned around and began walking around the area. Su Yi quickly, Merciless West, and Merciless West. Little handsome Su also flapped his wings and chased after them curiously. Sect Master, what are they doing?" Their actions quickly attracted the attention of Huang Jian, Green Emperor, and the others. The people of the Bawang sect watched as Merciless West and Su Yi shuttled back and forth in every corner of the small mountain gate. Sometimes they ran all the way to the back of the mountain, and sometimes they hid in a crack in a rock. Sometimes they gestured in front of a small tree, and sometimes they dug holes. Their actions were indescribably strange, and no one could understand them. Boring. Su Xiaoshui followed behind Su Yi and watched for a while. Then he began to yawn and doze off. To him, engraving the mystic sun realm was too boring. The most important thing was that he could not understand it. He lazily flapped his wings and ran to a sycamore tree in the back of the mountain and fell asleep. However, just as Su Xiaoshui fell asleep and smacked his lips sweetly, he heard his body float. With a loud rumble, the huge sycamore tree was uprooted by Su Yi and Merciless West. The two of them gathered in front of the tree pit and whispered. The Mystic Sun Realm uses the Mystic Sun Realm as a guide. Remnant souls and spirits are the foundation. It draws upon the energy of heaven and earth to form a space. It is called a realm, the so-called mystic sun, moon, and stars. The 8 gates are rest, life, injury, obstruction, view, shock, death, and open. With the mystic sun realm as a guide, it draws upon heaven and earth and encompasses everything. Merciless West stood in front of the tree pit. Her hands formed a mysterious seal as she explained to Su Yi, in the fire mystic sun realm, this is the death gate of the 8 gates. It is where the killing and murderous intent is. The death gate corresponds to the Kuan position in the 8 trigrams. Kuan is earth, earth is earth, and the sycamore tree is wood. Wood restrains earth, so if this tree is not cut down, it will affect this position. Sometimes this effect is not huge. After all, it is just a tree. But sometimes, because of some small details, it may cause the entire mystic sun realm to collapse. So that's how it is. Su Yi nodded. He remembered every word that Merciless West said in his heart. When setting up the mystic sun realm, the control of details needed to be exquisite. There could not be any mistakes. This was also a matter that consumed a lot of soul power. Su Yi knew that if there were any mistakes in the process of setting up, it would bring about unacceptable consequences. In addition, Su Yi also knew a little about the rest, life, injury, obstruction, view, shock, and death gates. In his previous life, this thing was called the Mystic Sun Realm. It was just that in that era of science and technology, these ancient secret techniques had declined. His big brother, Shi Wuqing, explained to him as he laid out the arrangements. During this process, Su Yi gradually learned a lot of things. Compared to reading books in the Yuqian Palace or studying the fire mystic yang world alone, his gains were countless times greater. "Can't you let me have a good night's sleep?" Su Xiaoshui flew up from the sycamore tree that was thrown out and grumbled unhappily. But when he saw that Su Yi and Merciless West had no intention of paying attention to him, he suddenly felt bored and flew away again. "I don't understand what Master and Merciless West are doing at all." The Green Emperor, the Yin-Yang Emperor of the Dead, the Devouring Spirit Emperor, and Huang Jian watched from afar for a long time, but still could not find any clues. They had no idea what Su Yi and Merciless West were busy with. However, they seemed to be engrossed in their work. This aroused a strong curiosity in the hearts of several Emperor-level experts. They couldn't help but come forward, wanting to see what was going on. Anyway, they had nothing to do, so it was good to watch the show. Soon, an even stranger scene appeared. When Merciless West led Su Yi in and out, a group of people followed behind them. They were all curious and puzzled. At one point, when Sui suddenly turned around, he almost bumped into Huang Jian's arms. He did not think too much about it, and was about to continue walking to catch up with his brother. But suddenly, he stopped and turned to the Green Emperor, the Yin-Yang Emperor of the Dead, and asked, "Are you two free?" Ahem. Huang Jian laughed dryly and said, "Don't be angry, sect master. We will leave now and not disturb you." With that, he turned around and was about to leave. The Green Emperor, the Yin-Yang Emperor of the Dead, and the Devouring Spirit Emperor had already run far away when they saw that something was wrong. "Stop!" Sui shouted and stopped them. Then he said, "I have a task for you. You must complete it beautifully and come back as soon as possible. Don't waste too much time. Sect Master, please give us your orders." When they heard that Sui had a task for them, the Green Emperor, the Yin-Yang Emperor of the Dead, the Devouring Spirit Emperor, and Huang Jian instantly became serious. They stood in front of Sui and waited for his orders. Sui walked over to the four of them and said something in a low voice, causing the expressions of the Emperor's stage experts to change. But soon, the four of them smiled happily, especially the Yin-Yang Emperor of the Dead and the Devouring Spirit Emperor. They could not hide their gloating. In the end, they even laughed out loud. "Let's go." The four of them left mysteriously. No one knew where they were going. "Boss, where are they going?" "I want to go too," Handsome Sue said loudly in the distance. "Go ahead." Sui waved his hand. He was not worried about Handsome Sue's safety since he was going to go with the four emperors. Handsome Sue cheered. He was feeling bored. Now that he had something to do, he was overjoyed. "What are you up to this time?" Merciless West glanced at Sui and asked casually. I'm going to strengthen the Bawang sect." Sui laughed. Merciless West was puzzled and looked at Sui in confusion. "You'll know when the time comes." Sui smiled mysteriously. Merciless West became more and more curious, but she did not ask any more questions. Instead, she walked around the area again. It was not easy to set up the Leaf Fire Mysterious Sun Realm. This time, Merciless West had to do it herself, which consumed a lot of energy. Sui could help a little, but it was limited to insignificant things. Therefore, he needed to be undistracted. Seeing that his big brother Merciless West was busy again, Sui followed closely behind and listened to his big brother's teachings. This was a rare opportunity for Sui to gain great benefits. For a time, only the two of them were busy in the entire mountain gate. The other barbaric beasts did not dare to disturb Sui and Merciless West. As for the flaming winged demonic tiger and the golden gang griffin, they left with the Green Emperor and the Yin-Yang Underworld Emperor. Soon the sky darkened. Sui and Merciless West did not seem to be tired. They kept going in and out, running around. Just like that, they were busy until dawn. When the sun was high in the sky, a group of figures suddenly arrived. The one leading the way was the wolf-head demonic bat that Sui had sent out earlier. Behind him, Nangong Yue, Yuan and the others all came. In addition to the original members of the Blue Moon Mercenary Group, there were also a large number of unfamiliar figures. There were no less than 100 people in total. Even among them, there were several people whose auras were faintly fluctuating, exuding a powerful force. They were actually in the Origin Void Realm. They were faintly standing one step in front of Nangong Ningyue with a proud aura. Before returning, Sui had sent the wolf-head demonic bat alone to inform Nangong Ningyue to bring people here. Sect Master. After the group of people arrived, Nangong Ningyue spent a while to find Sui and Merciless West in a small valley. She immediately saluted respectfully. "You're here." Sui glanced at her and said, "Go to the main hall and wait. I'll find you when I'm done." Sui waved his hand. After that, he looked at the busy Merciless West and ignored Nangong Ningyue. "Yes, Sect Master." Chapter 11:11. When Nangong Ningyue returned to the group of people and conveyed what Sui said, the complexions of many people among the more than 100 people suddenly became unsightly. "Sect Master, what do you mean by this? You let us come here, but you didn't say anything. You just want us to wait here? We joined the Bawang sect to do something big, not to waste time here." a burly man who looked to be in his 30s said in dissatisfaction. Suddenly, many people around echoed and agreed with such a statement. However, when Nangong Ningyu looked over, their voices lowered. Sect Master must be busy with something. We just have to wait. Why are you complaining so much? Nangong Ningyu didn't speak, but Yuan Yi, who had been following her, couldn't stand it anymore. He couldn't help but say coldly. Yuan Air, Yuan San, and the others were also glaring at the people who had shown their dissatisfaction. They cast cold and stern gazes at the people who had just shown their dissatisfaction. Their lives were saved by the sect master, and their injuries were also healed by the sect's powerhouses. At this time, how could they watch others talk behind Su Yi's back? In fact, Yuan Yi and the others couldn't understand why Nangong Ningyu wanted these people to stay. They were clearly some black sheep. If they stayed, it would be bad for them. But then again, when these people first joined the Bawang sect, they weren't like this. Even a month ago, 2 early-stage Origin Void Realm powerhouses were persuaded by Nangong Ningyu to become members of the Bawang sect, but there was no such problem. To be precise, things should have started to change more than half a month ago. We have joined the Bawang sect for so long. This is the first time we meet the sect master, and we are so neglected. It's normal to complain a little. At this time, in front of the crowd, a thin old man in a gray robe stroked his gray beard and said softly. The old man's head looked smaller than a normal person's. Only the back of his head had hair. The upper half of his head was extremely bright and smooth. While he was talking, his small eyes glanced at Nangong Ningyu to see her reaction. That's right. What's wrong with complaining? The sect leader has neglected us. I don't think the Bawang sect is a good place to stay. After the old man spoke, many people behind him spoke again. This time, their voices were much louder than before. It was as if the old man was their backer. Upon hearing their voices, the corners of the old man's mouth perked up into an unnoticeable smile. Elder Wang, let's go to the main hall and wait. Once the sect master is done, he will come and find us. Nangong Ningyu didn't say much and just glanced indifferently at the gray-robed old man. This old man was called Wang Zhenquan. Half a month ago, under the invitation of Nangong Ningyu, he agreed to join the Bawang sect. Speaking of which, Wang Zhenquan was quite famous in this area. He was known as the iron-faced ghost old man, which meant that when he killed someone, his face was like iron and he never showed any other expression, only ruthlessness. Everyone in the Bawang sect was originally in an orderly manner under the lead of Nangong Ningyu. But not long after the iron-faced ghost old man, when Zhenquan joined, he started to win over some experts. His own strength was extremely strong and had already attained the 9th level of the Origin Void stage. So many people were exceptionally convinced by him. Because of this, if the sect leader doesn't think highly of us, then what's the point of us waiting here? Wang Zhenquan spoke as he looked at Nangong Ningyu with a spurious smile. Joining the Bawang sect was something he was willing to do. But along with his understanding of the sect leader growing deeper, Wang Zhenquan gradually found out that the mysterious sect leader was actually a little kid over 10 years old. In this way, Wang Zhenquan instantly felt slightly uncomfortable in his heart. He was a dignified 9th level Origin Void stage expert. So how could he work himself to the bone for a little kid that was still wet behind the ears? There were many people that held the same thoughts as him. And after briefly discussing with each other, they felt that there was utterly no need to follow the Bawang sect, and it would be better to push the iron-faced ghost old man to the position of sect leader. Wang Zhenquan naturally had an understanding of such thoughts, but he still wanted to see the mysterious sect leader first. If the mysterious sect leader really possessed monstrous natural talent, then perhaps he could give the mysterious sect leader some benefits and make the mysterious sect leader follow him. But now, so many of them had come, yet the sect leader actually used the excuse of not meeting them, and this caused them to feel rage in their hearts. If anyone feels it's meaningless, then directly withdraw from the Bawang sect. But all of you already know the location of the Bawang sect's entrance. It's a concealed location, so the only outcome of withdrawing from the Bawang sect is death. Nangong Ningyu's tone was indifferent. and her red lips lightly opened and closed as she spoke without the slightest expression. She'd spoken of this matter to everyone since long ago. The original location of the Wind Clan village had already been transformed into the Bawang sect's entrance by her. It was an extremely concealed location, and it was extremely difficult for outsiders to find it. But if these people really wanted to withdraw from the Bawang sect, then the only outcome was death. "Are you threatening us, old man?" Iron-faced ghost old man, Wang Zhengquan's brows abruptly raised, and he fiercely glared at Nangong Ningyu. A tyrannical aura erupted from his body, and it covered the heavens and the earth as it pressed down towards the young woman before him. "Oh!" Instantly, Nangong Ningyu emitted a muffled groan from her throat, and her figure directly retreated explosively as her countenance instantly went ghastly pale. With her cultivation, she didn't have the slightest ability to resist before a 9th-level origin void stage martial artist. It was discernible that Wang Zhengquan had aroused killing intent, and he really didn't hold back when he attacked earlier. "You actually dare threaten Elder Wang? If it wasn't for the fact that you've been good to us recently, Elder Wang would have taken your life with a single palm strike." When the people behind saw this, someone instantly sneered as he spoke. But there were also many people that stood at Nangong Ningyu's side, and they looked at Wang Zhengquan and the others with extreme rage. Yuan Yi, Yuan Air, Yuan San, and the other 11 brothers even directly blocked before Nangong Ningyu, and they wanted to say something. But the imposing aura on Wang Zhengquan's body surged over, causing the pressure on their entire bodies to be enormous, and all of them were unable to endure it. However, all of a sudden, this pressure abruptly eased up, and it was as if a gentle aura was born out of thin air, and it blocked all the pressure outside their bodies. "She isn't threatening you." A voice like this sounded out, and everyone saw a young man arrive while treading on the sky. The aura on his entire body was like flowing water, and it fluctuated in the sky as it offset Wang Zhengquan's strength. This young man's face was resolute and firm, and he emitted a tenacious state as he instantly arrived before Nangong Ningyu. "You're the legendary sect master of the Bawang sect?" Wang Zhengquan's eyes raised when he saw this young man arrive, and he spoke with extreme surprise, because the aura on this young man's body was actually at the origin void stage, and it was extremely strong. Wang Zhengquan, had never seen such a talented person before. When Sui heard this, he also felt a little puzzled. These people actually didn't know his identity, but he immediately understood. During the time when he went to participate in the Alliance Conference, the things that happened in 9-Star City probably hadn't all spread to this area, let alone the trip to the secret realm of ominous spirits. Perhaps some of the large sects were well-informed and already knew of Su Yi's fierce reputation, but for the Bawang sect, these mechanisms were still too lacking, and it was easy to understand why the news was so late. Therefore, for the old man and the others in front of him, they absolutely didn't know the name of the Bawang sect in Su Yi, and what kind of prosperous place they would reach in the Chaos region in the future. "That's right. I'm the sect master of the Bawang sect." Just now, Nangong Ningyu had already said that those who don't want to stay in the Bawang sect can withdraw, but in order to protect the secrecy of the sect, those who withdraw can only die. How to choose is up to you. Su Yi gently shook his sleeves and said in a deep voice. His face was a little unhappy. He was setting up the Leaf Fire Profound Yang realm with his big brother, but there was a conflict here, so he had to stop and deal with the matter here first. At the same time, Su Yi was also dissatisfied. Before going 9-Star City, his big brother, Merciless West, praised Nangong Ningyu's ability, but now things had turned out like this. There were different voices in the Bawang sect, but faintly, Su Yi felt that Nangong Ningyu's move had some other intentions. Don't go too far. Su Yi's words made some people angry, but they were interrupted by Wang Zhengquan. I'm afraid that you can't keep us here. This old man doesn't want to make a move easily. Everyone knows each other. If we can get along, then we'll gather. If we can't, then we'll separate. There's nothing wrong with that. Wang Zhengquan's face sank, and he said coldly, "Now, I will take people away." Those who are willing to stay in the Bawang sect, I won't have any objections. From now on, we will mind our own business. In fact, Wang Zhengquan wasn't a particularly bloodthirsty person. Nangong Ningyu, who took him in, had also taken care of him during this period of time, so Wang Zhengquan didn't want to immediately shed all pretense of cordiality. In addition, not only did they not know what happened in the Alliance Conference, but they also didn't seem to know that those people who made the Seven-Star Sword School and the Gimdeo sect into a mess some time ago with a young man in front of them. Otherwise, even if Wang Zhengquan had 10 times the courage, he wouldn't dare to say so. After all, he also heard that at that time, the Origin Emperor realm powerhouses of the Seven-Star Sword School and the Gimdeo sect had all suffered a big loss. Is that so? Do you think we can't keep you here? Su-yi chuckled and said, "How about this? Let's decide the outcome in one move. If I lose, the Bawang sect will be yours, including myself. Everyone will listen to your orders. If you lose, you will still have the freedom to choose. Follow me or resist." Kid, you have such big words. You actually dare to talk to Elder Wang like that. Aren't you afraid that the wind will cut your tongue? Do you know how strong Elder Wang is? He's just looking for a beating. Elder Wang, promise him that you will let him see what true strength is. Those martial artists who wanted to follow Iron Face, ghastly old man, shouted one after another. No one believed that Su-yi would be a match for Iron Face, ghastly old man. No matter how abnormally talented a teenager was, how strong could he be? Chapter 11-12. Sect Leader. This person is called Wang Zhengquan, and his cultivation is at the 9th level of the Origin Void stage. Are you confident? Nangong Ningyu moved to Su-yi's side and whispered in his ear. When she met Su-yi before, he had only broken through to the Origin Void stage not long ago, and only a few months had passed. Nangong Ningyu didn't believe that Su-yi's strength was capable of contending with a 9th level Origin Void stage martial artist. As far as she was concerned, Merciless West, Green Emperor, Yin-Yang Nether Emperor, and the others should make a move at this moment. But based on the sect leader's intentions, he seemed to want to deal with Wang Zhengquan himself, and this caused her to feel worried. Just watch. Su-yi smiled and didn't say anything. Only when he heard Nangong Ningyu's words did he truly confirm that this woman probably really had her own plans. Otherwise, she wouldn't go so far as to leave Wang Zhengquan in the Bawang sect. When she saw Su-yi's confident appearance, Nangong Ningyu wanted to say something but hesitated, but she didn't say anything in the end. She saw Merciless West's figure earlier, but that old man didn't appear at this moment, and this indicated that he wasn't worried about Su-yi. Little fellow, your courage isn't bad. Being able to establish the Bawang sect single-handedly, I can see that you have some ability. Since it's like this, then follow me in the future, and this old man will absolutely not treat you unfairly. Wang Zhengquan looked at Su-yi, then suddenly laughed loudly and said in a clear voice, "You make a move first, and use your full strength to prevent this old man from gaining the reputation of bullying the young." The smile on his face was deep, and he didn't take Su-yi too seriously. However, in the next instant, Wang Zhengquan saw the young man before him suddenly flash, and he pounced towards him like a ghost. This caused Wang Zhengquan's pupils to constrict abruptly, as Su-yi's speed was too swift, and it caused him to instantly feel astonished. In the next moment, a ferocious energy surged through the air like a tidal wave. Fire attribute light burst forth, as if it could burn everything in the sky. Even the void was burned to the point of distorting. This flame turned into a fist shadow, bright and resplendent as it blasted towards Wang Zhengquan. Not good. Wang Zhengquan had a bad feeling in his heart, and he immediately cursed in his heart. That terrifying power surged over, making him feel extreme danger. Su-yi's strength had far exceeded his expectations, but at this time, it was already too late for him to respond with all his might. In a hurry, iron-faced ghost old man Wang Zhengquan stomped his feet on the ground, causing the ground to crack. Fine cracks spread out like a spider web. A large expanse of black light surged from his body. The power of the earth element burst forth, releasing a heavy aura. It quickly spread out, quickly forming a shield of light in front of him, like a majestic city wall erected. Boom! Su Yi's flaming fist arrived and fiercely smashed into the black light wall. A scalp-numbing shockwave rippled out. Heaven and earth swayed, and the void trembled. With a ripping sound, the black light wall was directly torn apart by the tremendous force. Terrifying flames spread, burning fiercely. The vigorous power of the earth element was instantly burned into green smoke, rising in spirals. Quickly retreat. Nangong Ningyue, Yuan Yi, and the people next to them all retreated explosively, avoiding far away. They did not dare to stay there. Otherwise, a moment of carelessness, and they might be engulfed by that terrifying power, dying an unnatural death. Wang Zhengquan's figure shot backward, his feet plowing out 2 deep ravines in the ground. Only after 100 feet did he stabilize his figure. His complexion was pale, and the shock he received was not small. But looking again, the youth's figure was still standing there, motionless. He did not take advantage of the situation to pursue. Sect Master's strength, Nangong Ningyue, Yuan Yi, and the rest were all stunned at this time. Each and every one of them looked at Su Yi in the field in disbelief, their astonishment overflowing in words and expressions. That little? How can this guy be so strong? The remaining 100 or so people who had joined the Bawang sect were also horrified at this time. None of them were extremely shocked, although their strength was not too strong. The result presented before their eyes was already very obvious. Su Yi only used one move to repel Wang Zhengquan. It was very effortless. In this, there was the factor of Wang Zhengquan underestimating the enemy, but it was enough to explain some things. So strong. After a moment, Wang Zhengquan's complexion returned to normal, and his eyes stared at the youth's figure opposite him in shock. Wang Zhengquan's gaze trembled fiercely. From a situation of Su Yi's attack, just now, he could see one point. The other's true strength was not much below his, but there was still a considerable gap in cultivation. Such a youth was truly abnormal and monstrous. How could there be such a terrifying, monstrous person in this world? Not going to admit defeat? Su Yi raised his eyebrows and asked, the aura on his body brewing again. Little guy, you're very strong, but it's time for this old man to make a move. If you have the ability, then we'll talk about it later. Wang Zhengquan's eyes suddenly became cold and fierce. At the same time, he roared from his throat, savage, 8 mountain-toppling fist. Hula, rich earth origin chi rushed out of his body crazily and circled around his body. Especially on his fists, it was as if they were wrapped in a thick layer of armor, emitting a deep luster. In an instant, Wang Zhengquan's arms seemed to have grown by half, hanging down to his calves, making him look like a majestic, long-armed ape. Little guy, take this! Wang Zhengquan roared and threw out both fists. The huge fists smashed the void, causing it to rumble and tremble. A terrifying aura burst out, and even if there was a mountain standing in front of him, it would be smashed by such fists in a few moments. The 2 fists, one from the left and one from the right, one from the front and one from the back, blasted towards Su Yi at the same time. However, the youth's figure stood in the same place, not moving at all, as if he did not care too much. Seeing the 2 fists shaking the air and the vast chi coming at him, Su Yi narrowed his eyes. Wrath of the 8 desolates, violent shadow, shatters the 9 nether. Su Yi's figure suddenly stepped into the air, and his feet kicked repeatedly in the void, as fast as lightning. In an instant, it was as if endless footprints were kicked out. The light was like a small sun exploding, and the aura was domineering and destructive. Bang, 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 the void rumbled, and under such footprints the space was distorted and the void trembled, as if it could destroy everything. Facing such a situation, Wang Zhengquan's face changed, and he realized that he had underestimated this youth. But at this time, it was too late to think. He threw out punch after punch, colliding with the footprints that filled the sky. Boom, boom, boom. Every time the fish shadows and footprints collided, there would be a terrifying explosion. In the air, it was as if fireworks were blooming at the end of the year, roaring in the world. Wang Zhengquan retreated repeatedly under Su Yi's footprints. The enormous force overlapped layer upon layer, and it seemed as if it would never stop pressing down, causing his countenance to quickly go pale, and the origin energy within his body was swiftly consumed. On the other hand, the youth didn't seem to have the slightest intention of exhausting his strength. Gradually, Wang Zhengquan fell into a disadvantageous position, and he was completely unable to endure Su Yi's concentrated, indiscriminate bombardment. In the end, with a bang, a footprint directly stomped on his chest, and it directly kicked his body flying, heavily falling onto the ground in the distance, and he spat out a mouthful of blood. The surrounding spectators were already dumbstruck at this moment. None of them had imagined that it would actually be such an outcome in the end. Wang Zhengquan would actually be defeated so quickly. Sect leader, Nangong Ningyue, Yuan Yi, and the others were the most shocked at this moment. They knew best that when they first met Su Yi, this youth had only just broken through to the origin void stage. But now, only a few months had passed, and he was actually already able to go against a 9th level origin void stage martial artist, and even easily defeat one. Such a terrifying advancement caused Nangong Ningyue and the others to feel their scalps go numb just thinking about it. What a little fellow! Wang Zhengquan struggled for a moment, intending to crawl up from the ground. But suddenly, a long sword came over and was placed directly in front of his neck, causing his movements to stagnate. One move has passed. You've already lost. I don't have so much time to dawdle with you. Speak frankly now. Submit to me, or die. Su Yi held the sword in his hand as he spoke indifferently, and killing intent faintly flowed on his body that allowed no resistance. At the same time, Su Yi tossed out a small jade bottle and said, "This is a bone-soul-devouring pill. You ought to have heard of its effects." When faced with this scene, Wang Zhengquan's expression changed repeatedly, and his thoughts revolved like lightning. He knew that there were two paths placed before him. The first was to consume the bone-soul-devouring pill and become a member of the Bawang sect. The second was to die at the hands of Su Yi. Wang Zhengquan's gaze flickered as he looked at Su Yi, and he didn't doubt the certainty within this youth's words in the slightest. Many people that stood behind Wang Zhengquan earlier were like large geese that had their necks choked at this moment, and they didn't even dare breathe loudly. My patience is limited. After a short moment, the killing intent on Su Yi's body abruptly skyrocketed, and the sword in his hand trembled as a fierce aura burst out. I submit. Wang Zhengquan's heart constricted, and he cried out loudly in panic. After that, he directly seized the jade bottle on the ground and poured out a medicinal pill from within, and his eyes surged with a final wisp of struggle. But when he sensed Su Yi's killing intent, he didn't hesitate in the end, and he closed his eyes and directly swallowed it. Very good. Su Yi nodded when he saw this, then casually tossed the sword into his spatial bag. Since you've submitted, why haven't you quickly paid respects to the sect master? At this time, Yuan Yi walked out and shouted at Wang Zhengquan. He was truly sullen during this period of time. This wizened old man was causing trouble in the Bawang sect, but Nangong Ningyue didn't care. Even if Yuan Yi's cultivation was far inferior to Wang Zhengquan's, he couldn't help but vent his resentment at this time. He wanted to use this opportunity to properly cut down Wang Zhengquan's prestige. Subordinate Wang Zhengquan pays respects to the sect master. From now on, I will listen to the sect master's orders and go through water and tread on fire. Wang Zhengquan clenched his teeth, shot a glance at Yuan Yi, and bowed in respect. Su Yi's gaze turned, and he swept his gaze all around. A tyrannical and awe-inspiring might pervaded the air. Chapter 11:13. Greetings, greetings, sect master. These people were so scared that their legs went soft. The power of this young man frightened them. Even the iron mask ghost old man, Wang Zhengquan, couldn't withstand a single blow in his hands. How could they dare to continue jumping around at this time? Very good. From now on, you are all members of the Bawang sect. Since that's the case, I will definitely give everyone the benefits that I deserve. Looking at the actions of these people, Su-yi nodded. Then he said in a flat tone, however, if anyone dares to do anything harmful to the Bawang sect, I guarantee that they will regret being born into this world. Such words didn't sound emotional, but when it reached the ears of the people present, especially Wang Zhengquan and the others, they all felt a chill on their backs, and the soles of their feet were emitting cold air. Some people secretly looked at the young man and found that his eyes were filled with murderous intent. Nangong Ningyue, take them to the main hall and wait. I still have some things to do. Remember, before I send a message, no one is to wander around here, so as not to ruin the big event. Su-yi warned, and then left directly to look for Merciless West. Looking at the back of the young man's departure, the group of people all had complicated expressions. Let's go. Nangong Ningyue didn't say anything and walked towards the main hall. Little girl, today I see that you should have hidden a lot of things about the Bawang sect from us, right? The Iron Mask ghost old man Wang Zhengquan and Nangong Ningyue walked side by side and asked aloud. At this time, in retrospect, he had recently won over people's hearts in the Bawang sect, but Nangong Ningyue didn't have any opinion. This showed that she had always had a card up her sleeve and wasn't worried about making trouble. Nangong Ningyue smiled gently when she heard this. She tucked a strand of hair behind her ear and said, Ningyue's strength isn't good. It's basically difficult to control so many people. Therefore, I need to borrow the sect leader's strength. At the same time, I want everyone to realize the strength of the Bawang sect so that they won't think that I'm fooling you. In fact, Nangong Ningyue did not tell most people about the Bawang sect. She did not tell them about the existence of Merciless West, the Green Emperor, the Yin-Yang Underworld Emperor, and others. Nangong Ning had the ability to gather people's hearts, but if the other party's strength was too strong, it was impossible for her to truly control it. Therefore, everything that happened today was part of her plan. The only difference was that Su-yi was the one who did it, and not Merciless West or Green Emperor. Good, little girl, you're not bad. Wang Zhengquan pondered for a moment, and could only say these words. He sighed with emotion in his heart. He knew very well that if he had hesitated just now, he would probably be a cold corpse now. Moreover, Wang Zhengquan felt that this young Bawang sect leader might be even more unfathomable than he had imagined. At the same time, there were definitely some things in the entire Bawang sect that he did not know. Maybe the Bawang sect has an Emperor stage expert. Wang Zhengquan guessed in his heart. He felt that there might be an expert in the first or second level of the Origin Emperor stage in the Bawang sect. Big brother, how long will it take to finish setting up the Leaf Fire Mystic Yang world? On the other side, Su-yi went to Merciless West side again and carefully watched his big brother carve the patterns. He used his soul power to condense the remnant soul and draw the attribute power between heaven and earth to carry out a mysterious combination and arrangement. It's still early, Merciless West said faintly. Su-yi nodded. At the same time, he was a little anxious. He was afraid that the Tiangang sect would come too early. If the Leaf Fire Mystic Yang world was not set up successfully by then, the result would be tragic. However, now is not the time to worry about this. He studied his big brother, Merciless West's technique seriously. Every time he encountered some important details, his big brother would explain in detail. Su-yi was even more obsessed with it. Once he learned how to set up the Mystic Yang world, it would be a great method. To be honest, it was Merciless West's first time setting up the Mystic Yang world by herself. Therefore, there were many areas that needed to be carefully considered. Therefore, the progress was not particularly fast. However, compared to Su-yi, who was a layman, it was definitely incomparable. Time passed very quickly. Another day's time hurriedly passed. 2 to 3 days had passed since Su-yi and Merciless West started setting up the Leaf Fire Mystic Yang world. During this time, some barbaric beasts stayed within a certain range under Su-yi's instructions and did not dare to move around recklessly. Nangong Ningyue, Yuan-yi, Wang Zhengquan, and the others did not dare to take a step out of the main hall. They often saw Su, Yi, and Merciless West appearing everywhere. They did not know what they were doing, but everyone faintly felt that the two might be up to something big. It could be said that apart from Su, Yi, and Merciless West, the remaining people of the Bawang sect were all a little bored. Could that old man be an Emperor Realm expert of the Bawang sect? I wonder what his cultivation is. When he saw Merciless West, Wang Zhengquan had a guess in his heart. He only felt that the black-robed old man was an origin Emperor Realm existence. However, he did not dare to open his guts to think. He only felt that the other party was at most a first to third level origin Emperor Realm. This was already very scary. Time passed slowly. Just as the sky was about to turn dark, several figures flew over from afar and quickly landed in the mountain gate, outside the main hall. This group of figures all had incomparably powerful auras. Waves of terrifying energy were emitted in the void. An invisible power burst forth. The Emperor Realm aura was revealed, and a strong demonic aura soared to the sky. Demon Emperor. In the main hall, after seeing these people, Wang Zhengquan and the rest of the 100 or so people who had just joined the Bawang sect felt their legs go soft. Some of them almost collapsed to the ground. In their eyes, two handsome young men stood, and an incomparably short old man stepped down from the sky. Following closely behind them was an old man in a yellow robe. In addition, there was also an ordinary-looking little bird that flew over quickly. Among them, a few flying barbaric beasts also landed. They were huge in size and had a fierce aura. There were also several other figures on their backs. Are we going to die? After the arrival of these Emperor-level experts, many people in the main hall began to panic. They couldn't help but feel sad. They just saw the sect master of the Bawang sect not long ago, and several demon emperors came. They might die here today. Even the iron-faced ghost old man Wang Zhengquan's face was extremely ugly at this time, but he didn't dare to have the slightest thought of resistance. Those were several demon emperors, and looking at their auras, they weren't ordinary demon emperors. He was afraid that any one of them could crush him to death with just a finger. The young demon emperor in cyan suddenly looked at the main hall. With a sweep of his gaze, many people were scared to the point of peeing. "You're here. Where's the master?" However, to everyone's surprise, the cyan demon emperor only glanced at them, and then his gaze fell on Nangong Ningyue as he asked, "The sect master is busy. He asked us to wait here and not disturb him." Nangong Ningyue nodded and replied, "You all wait here first. I'll go find the boss." Within this group of people, that unassuming little bird spoke, and then it directly flew away, its speed reaching an inconceivable level. Such a scene once again shocked many people who had just joined the Bawang sect. An ordinary-looking little bird was actually a demon void realm expert. This was too scary. The one who was the most frightened was Wang Zhengquan. He could feel that the little bird had an invisible, terrifying power that was much stronger than him. What the hell was going on? Why were there so many demon emperors and demon void realms here today? Wait. Suddenly, Wang Zhengquan seemed to have just thought of something, and his whole person was shocked. Just now, the cyan demon emperor and Nangong Ningyue spoke? What did they say? Master? Sect master? And that demon void realm little bird went to find his boss? Wang Zhengquan's brain didn't turn around for a while, but he soon understood. The master, sect master, and boss that these people were talking about. Who else could it be besides the young sect master of the Bawang sect? After understanding this result, Wang Zhengquan was shocked in place, as if he was scared silly and didn't dare to move. In fact, this group of people who came quickly were Su Yi, the Green Emperor, the Yin-Yang Underworld Emperor, the Devouring Spirit Emperor Huang Jian, the Flaming Winged Devil Tiger, and the Ice Demon Dragon. Asked the three of them to come down. The Green Emperor smiled and shouted at the Flaming Winged Devil Tiger. "Okay." The Flaming Winged Devil Tiger immediately responded. With a shake of its body, three figures rolled down from its back and fell to the ground with a bang. In particular, one of them was a burly middle-aged man in purple, and the other was a strong man with a pair of bull horns on his head. The ground sank and smoke and dust rose. Yin-Yang Underworld Emperor, devouring spirit emperor, let us go. Otherwise, don't blame us for being rude. This purple-clothed, middle-aged man had a well-built body, just like a giant. He was at least 10 feet tall. His purple-clothed clothes outlined his well-built body. He had a wide forehead and a large face. His eyes were bright, and his exposed skin seemed to have a faint purple-colored glow overflowing from it. However, at this time, the middle-aged man in purple had a bloody nose and a swollen face, and there were wounds all over his body. The bullhorn man and an old man with a slightly hunched back were not much better. They were covered in blood from head to toe and looked very miserable. However, if one looked carefully, they would find that these three people were basically suffering from superficial injuries, which are not serious. However, it was obvious that they were all under a restriction, and they couldn't move at this moment. Yes, let us go. The bullhorn man also shouted. Chapter 11:14. When the Yin Hell Emperor spoke, he first looked at the purple-robed middle-aged man, and then glanced at the bullhorn man, his face full of malice. Yin Hell Emperor, devouring spirit emperor, we are all demon emperors nearby. Aren't you afraid that your territory will be taken away by humans if you attack us? The stooped old man on the ground also spoke in a deep voice. However, as he spoke, he looked around and discovered many human figures. His brows began to knit together. Black Turtle Emperor, do you think that with our cultivation, we are still afraid of humans coming to take our territory? The Green Emperor looked at the old man with a deep smile and said playfully. As soon as these words came out, the three people on the ground fell into silence and did not speak for a long time. Black Turtle Emperor. It's the Black Turtle Emperor. At the entrance of the hall, Nangong Ningyue, Yuan Yi, Wang Zhengquan, and the others were all shocked at this moment. The old man who was restrained on the ground was the Black Turtle Emperor. The name of this beast emperor was like thunder to their ears. He was extremely famous in this area. He was a true demon emperor who ruled over many powerful barbaric demon beasts. If he is the Black Turtle Emperor, then the other two, Nangong Ningyue, said in a daze and began to think. The corner of Wang Zhengquan's eyes twitched, and he murmured, "Are they the Purple Elephant Emperor and the Dragon Rhinoceros Emperor?" He opened his mouth wide, and his face was full of disbelief. This guess made him extremely shocked, but looking at the appearance of the people on the ground, this guess was very likely. Purple Elephant Emperor, Dragon Rhinoceros Emperor, Black Turtle Emperor. Yuan Yi swallowed hard and murmured in a daze. These three demon emperors were famous in the nearby area. Their original forms were the purple flame raging elephant, the black gold dragon rhinoceros, and the heavenly dark armored turtle. It was their existence, together with the devouring spirit emperor and the Yin Hell Emperor, that made the surrounding area the territory of the demon clan. Human warriors did not dare to set foot here easily. But looking at the current situation, it seemed that the Yin Hell Emperor, the devouring spirit emperor, and the others had captured these three demon emperors. Yin Hell Emperor, devouring spirit emperor, what do you want? Don't beat around the bush, just say it. The Purple Elephant Emperor spoke again in a low voice. The other two also looked at the Green Emperor, the Yin Hell Emperor, and the others. As a matter of fact, they felt very wronged at this moment. Originally, they were all staying in their own nests. Suddenly, Yin Hell Emperor, devouring spirit emperor, and several others rushed over. Normally speaking, when acquaintances met, they would greet each other first no matter what. Who would have thought that this group of people would attack them so fiercely? The three beast emperors were infuriated. They wanted to resist, but who knew that these people were too strong? Under their joint efforts, they were subdued in just a few moves. However, that was not the end of it. After they were defeated, the Yin Underworld Emperor and the Spirit-Devouring Emperor gave them a good beating. That was why the three of them were all bruised and battered. The Purple Elephant Emperor, the Dragon Rhinoceros Emperor, and the Black Turtle Emperor were incomparably depressed. What kind of sin had they committed? Why were they beaten up for no reason? They were even kidnapped and brought here. Most importantly, The Yin-Yang Hell Emperor that they were familiar with had already reached the 5th level of the Demon Emperor realm, especially the Yin-Yang Hell Emperor, who had reached the peak of the 5th level of the Demon Emperor realm. So it was the Green Emperor. This was too frightening. Their cultivations were originally similar. For the Black Turtle Emperor, they were much stronger. However, after not seeing each other for a few days, they were crushed by their strength. Hee, what do we want to do? If I said that I just wanted to beat you up, would you believe me? The Yin-Yang Hell Emperor laughed again and said aloud. As he spoke, he rubbed his hands again as if his palms were itchy. It looked like he was going to beat them up again. The Purple Elephant Emperor and the Dragon Rhinoceros Emperor shrank their necks in fear. They were not only afraid of being beaten up, but they were also afraid of losing face. A Beast Emperor was captured and beaten up. If this news were to spread, how many people would laugh their heads off? Not to mention the people who were watching them now. What kind of look was that? It had to be said that Nangong Ningyue, Yuan Yi, Yuan Air, Wang Zhengquan, and the others were really frightened at this time. These powerful Beast Emperors were in such a miserable state. The 3 Beast Emperors wanted to cry, but had no tears. They did not dare to say anything more and simply cultivated this silent meditation. Intuition told them that the Yin-Yang Hell Emperor might really beat them up again. Ha! At this moment, a burst of laughter suddenly came from afar. Then, under everyone's gaze, they saw Su Yi flying the air with Su Xiaoshui flying beside him. One man and one bird arrived quickly. Sect Master looks very happy. Yuan Yi saw that Su Yi's mouth was almost reaching his ears. His face was full of excitement and excitement. The young man came all the way and quickly landed beside the Purple Elephant Emperor, the Dragon Rhinoceros Emperor, and the Black Turtle Emperor. Master, Sect Master, seeing Su Yi, the Green Emperor, the Yin-Yang Hell Emperor, the Devouring Spirit Emperor, Huang Jian, Nangong Ningyue, and the others all bowed. Human, the Purple Elephant Emperor, and the others were stunned. They cannot believe their ears. Yin-Yang Hell Emperor, Devouring Spirit Emperor, you actually submitted to a human, and a human brat at that. The Purple Elephant Emperor was furious. The Yin-Yang Hell Emperor and the Devouring Spirit Emperor actually called this human their master. This was a disgrace to the demon clan. It was unforgivable. The Yin-Yang Hell Emperor and the Devouring Spirit Emperor only smiled at this and said nothing. The demon clan and the human clan are indeed different races, but they are not mortal enemies. We have an irreconcilable feud. I can give them enough benefits, so what's wrong with them calling me their master? At this moment, Su Yi had also reigned in his previous excitement as he spoke to the Purple Elephant Emperor and the others. However, all he got in return was an angry glare from the 3 of them. The Green Emperor, the Yin-Yang Hell Emperor, and the Devouring Spirit Emperor nodded silently. However, the Purple Elephant Emperor and the others could not imagine how amazing the benefits Su Yi gave them were. Most importantly, Su Yi had never treated them as slaves. Instead, he would not forget them whenever there were benefits. Naturally, they were willing to follow him. Now, your chance has come. Su Yi suddenly curled his lips and said calmly, I asked them to invite the 3 of you here to make you submit to me. When the time comes, there will be unimaginable benefits. I'll give you 10 minutes to think about it. The Purple Elephant Emperor, the Dragon Rhino Emperor, and the Black Turtle Emperor all cursed in their hearts. You called inviting us here? He was clearly beaten up and then tied up. Okay, submit to you? Wishful thinking. The Dragon Rhino Emperor was extremely stubborn and snorted coldly. It was absolutely impossible for a demon emperor like him to submit to a human brat. As for the benefits that he mentioned, the Dragon Rhino Emperor did not even want to think about it. What great benefits could a human martial artist in the Origin Void Realm give them? He did not know what had happened to the Yin-Yang Hell Emperor, the Devouring Spirit Emperor, and the Green Emperor. Why would they follow this young man? What about the 2 of you? Do you have the same idea? Su Yi raised his eyebrows, but was not angry at all. He turned to look at the Purple Elephant Emperor and the Black Turtle Emperor. The Black Turtle Emperor looked deeply at Su Yi and then closed his eyes, pretending not to hear anything. His attitude was very obvious. The purple elephant emperor showed a ferocious expression. If his cultivation was not sealed, he would have slapped the young man in front of him to death. Understand, Suyi's expression was indifferent. He had already expected this. He waved his hand and said to the Green Emperor and the others, "Take them to the back of the mountain." With that, he took the lead and flew away, with handsome Su following closely behind. The Green Emperor, the Yin-Yang Hell Emperor, and the Devouring Spirit Emperor each picked up the Purple Elephant Emperor and the other two as if they were carrying little chicks and flew to the back of the mountain. Huang Jian was not slow either. Watching these people leave, Nangong Ningyue, Wang Zhengquan, Yuan Yi, and the others were all stunned. Gulp! After a long time, someone swallowed a mouthful of saliva with difficulty. The Bawang sect has so many emperor-level masters, someone said in shock, extremely shocked. The Green Emperor, the Yin-Yang Hell Emperor, the Devouring Spirit Emperor, and Huang Jian were all emperor-level masters. And they were not ordinary emperor-level masters. They could even kidnap the Purple Elephant Emperor, the Dragon Rhino Emperor, and the Black Turtle Emperor. In addition, there was the black-robed elder who came in and out of the surrounding area with Su Yi. With such strength, they were probably not inferior to an ordinary third-rate force. Can the sect leader really subdue the Purple Elephant Emperor and the other two Beast Emperors? Someone was shocked and said in a daze, if he could subdue the Purple Elephant Emperor and the other two, how strong would he be? Just thinking about it was terrifying. They could not figure out one question. How could Su Yi subdue so many emperor-level masters? He was just a young man in the Origin Void Realm. In the main hall, the group of people were all stunned. However, not long after, they clearly heard a series of miserable cries coming from afar. It sounded like a pig being slaughtered. This is when everyone looked carefully. It was not difficult to tell that the screams came from the Purple Elephant Emperor, the Dragon Rhino Emperor, and the Black Turtle Emperor. Needless to say, after being brought to the back of the mountain, they must have been beaten up again. The Beast Emperors were beaten up like this. At this time, Wang Zhengquan's forehead was already covered in cold sweat. He used one sleeve to wipe it with difficulty. He only felt that his luck was really good. At that time, the Green Emperor and the others were not here. Otherwise, he would have ended up much worse than the Purple Elephant Emperor and the others. The rest of the people were all anxious, and their faces were full of fear. The young sect leader of the Bawang sect seemed to be a person who was easy to talk to. Previously, when they caused trouble here, they were not pursued. But now it seemed that the truth was not so. Chapter 11:15. Wang Zhengquan, as well as those who had caused trouble before, were all trembling in fear. It turned out that Su Yi had treated them so kindly. What they didn't know was that Su Yi didn't take them seriously. If they dared to cause trouble, he would just kill them with one slap. However, the Purple Elephant Emperor and the other two were different. They were three demon emperors. Once they were subdued, they would be a great help to the Bawang sect. This was something that Su Yi had planned for a long time. He had originally planned to subdue the nearby demon emperors after the Alliance Conference. However, due to the matter of the Big Dipper sect and the Fire Mystic Sun world, he couldn't go personally. Fortunately, the Green Emperor, the Yin-Yang Emperor of the Dead, the Devouring Spirit Emperor, and the others were no longer the same as before. It was a piece of cake for them to subdue the three demon emperors. As the sound is gone, after a while, the screams in the back of the mountain gradually died down, and peace was restored. Not long after, they saw handsome Su flying back. Su Yi appeared in every corner with a black-robed elder. However, the Green Emperor, the Yin-Yang Emperor of the Dead, the Devouring Spirit Emperor, and Huang Jian were nowhere to be seen. The Purple Elephant Emperor and the other two demon emperors also didn't appear. My lord Purple Elephant Emperor and the others. Wang Zhengquan's heart thumped when he saw handsome Su. He asked tentatively. The rest of the people were also curious as they looked at handsome Su. Handsome Su raised a wing to cover his mouth and yawned. He glanced at everyone and said, "Those three guys are very tough. I still need time to loosen them up. After he said that, everyone present understood that they didn't take care of themselves properly and continued to be beaten up. Needless to say, the Green Emperor, the Yin-Yang Emperor of the Dead, and the others must have taken them to some hidden place. Wang Zhengquan felt a chill run down his spine when he thought of this. Boss and the others are setting up the illusory spirit world. Don't go anywhere for the time being. Don't blame me for not warning you if you mess up the plan. Su Xiaoshui glanced at the crowd and continued. Also, let's focus on our cultivation for the time being. The Bawang sect should be here soon. When that time comes, the Bawang sect will need everyone to fight together. After saying that, he flew away in a wobbly manner. No one knew where he was going. However, everyone in the hall was stunned once again. Set up Qi Min's illusory soul world? Wang Zhengquan almost cried out in disbelief. Old Wang, what is the mysterious gate's illusory soul world? Most people were puzzled. They had never heard of this mystical gate, illusory spirit world. The sect master and Lady Merciless West are soul controllers. Others didn't understand, but Nangong Ningyue knew what the strange gate's illusory soul world meant. A powerful soul controller could use the power of a remnant soul to fight. The terrifying soul controller master could work together with many people to set up the mystical gate illusory spirit world. But at this time, Merciless West and Su Yi were actually setting it up alone. If this were to spread out, how many people will be frightened? Don't ask too much about this matter. Don't spread it outside in the future. You only need to know that my Bawang sect master is much stronger than you think. Wang Zhengquan seemed to have realized something. He suddenly raised his head to look at the sky and said these words. Many people fell into deep thought, but they couldn't figure out the connection. However, Nangong Ningyue still gave a simple explanation about the mystical gate illusory spirit world. After all, Su Xiaoshui seemed to have said that there would be a strong enemy attacking. He wanted them to be prepared. At that time, they would definitely have to fight in the mystical gate illusory spirit world. Heavenly Dipper sect. That's one of the 7 major second-rate forces in the Chaos region. Some people were aghast. They wanted to cry, but had no tears. One of the 7 major second-rate forces came to deal with their Bawang sect. How could they stop it by relying on these people? Even if they had the mystical gate illusory spirit world, they hadn't seen its power. Therefore, most of them were terrified at this time. Fortunately, they had experienced too many shocking things in the past 2 days. At this time, when the Heavenly Dipper sect was mentioned, everyone's nerves were a little numb. The real fear was not so strong. If this matter was mentioned at ordinary times, many people would be scared to the point of wetting their pants. Su Yi and Merciless West continued to be busy. Su Xiaoshui was idle again. No one knew where he wanted to play. The Green Emperor, the Yin-Yang Emperor of the Dead, the Devouring Spirit Emperor, and Huang Jian were all in Su Yi's mysterious space. The Purple Elephant Emperor, the Dragon Rhino Emperor, and the Black Turtle Emperor were also in it. What outsiders didn't know was that the 3 captured demon emperors were all being tortured. This was ordered by Su Yi. He wanted the Green Emperor and the others to teach them a lesson until they were obedient. The Yin-Yang Emperor of the Dead was the happiest. His cultivation was slightly weaker than these people. When he met them, he would be at a disadvantage. Now that the opportunity for revenge had come, he had to teach them a lesson. In addition, the Green Emperor was secretly delighted. He took out a long sword and cut off some meat from the 3 demon emperors from time to time. He roasted it in front of them and ate it. This was a trick he learned from Su Yi. The Green Emperor had admitted defeat in this way. Every dog has its day. Finally, he could make a comeback. I'm going to start setting up the center of the Li Fire Mystic Sun realm. This is the key step. When the time comes, all the vitality stones will be placed there to provide energy for the entire mystical gate illusory spirit world. At the back of the mountain, Merciless West said to Su Yi after checking all the arrangements within a radius of a few miles. At this moment, he looked tired and haggard. Obviously, the process of setting up the Li Fire Mystic Sun realm consumed a lot of energy. and this was under the condition that he often drank spiritual liquid. Do you need my help? Sui asked. Just watch. Merciless West said. The soul power in his body surged and flowed like the tide. In front of the two of them, there was a stone platform that was about 10 feet tall. It was not majestic at all. However, at this moment, there were dense and mysterious patterns drawn on it. Roar, roar, update the latest percent, the fastest CI. G plus as Merciless West's soul power surged. There were sharp howls in the void in front of them. There were the cries of ghosts, the roars of ferocious beasts, and the screams of hundreds of ghosts. Hearing it made one's scalp tingle. A large amount of gloomy aura surged. This was the power of the remnant souls. Merciless West mobilized them and gathered them in the void above the stone platform. Under his control, these remnant souls did not materialize. Instead, they carried out some miraculous transformations and combinations, forming a mystical trajectory that connected the entirely fire mystic sun realm together. With a whoosh, Sui, who was watching from the side, suddenly felt a mysterious aura appear in the void. It was as if the laws of heaven and earth in this area had undergone some undetectable changes. This change was very subtle and not easy to catch. Even Sui, who had an extremely high soul quality and soul power, would not be able to feel it if he did not feel it carefully. There's movement. Sui knew that this should be the situation of the entirely fire mystic sun realm being connected. After a while, the aura disappeared again. Phew. Merciless West opened his eyes and let out a long breath. He slowly walked up to the stone platform in front of him and took out a space bag. He poured out 10,000 pieces of 2-star primordial stones and placed them neatly around the stone platform. Seeing so many primordial stones being taken out, Suyi's heart was bleeding. However, in order to deal with the Big Dipper sect, these had to be spread. Done. After everything was done, Merciless West jumped down from the stone platform and stood beside Sui. Big brother, is the Leaf Fire Mystic Sun realm set up a success? As long as it is not breached and is provided with enough primordial stones, this mystical gate illusory spirit world will continue to operate and stop all intruders? Sui asked. He was actually more excited in his heart. This was the first time he saw the mystical gate illusory spirit world set up. Although he only helped a little, he still felt an indescribable sense of accomplishment. In the process, he learned a lot. Don't think it's so simple. Merciless West rolled his eyes and said, This Leaf Fire Mystic Sun realm is not particularly profound. It's just stronger than the basic mystical gate illusory spirit world. Moreover, when it opens, it requires a powerful soul controller to oversee this stone platform to control its operation and mobilize its power to trap and kill the enemy. The truly powerful mystical gate illusory spirit world is still difficult to set up with my own strength. Moreover, that kind of thing is not commonly seen in the world. For example, that disk array of yours is definitely not something that can be set up by ordinary people. Most importantly, it's amazing in that it only requires energy to control the disk array, and everything can be controlled. There's no need for anyone to oversee it. Perhaps such a thing can be found in the Utian Palace or in the mountain gates of those first-rate forces. However, other than that, in the mountain gates of ordinary second-rate forces, it's already very good to have something like the Leaf Fire Mystic Sun realm. However, after a long period of preparation, the area covered by the entire mystical gate illusory spirit world is many times larger than this one. Sui had a rough idea of what was going on. It seemed that the mystical gate illusory spirit world was not as simple as he thought. Some of the less advanced mystical gate illusory spirit worlds would be very troublesome to operate. Like the Leaf Fire Mystic Sun realm, it required someone to control it in order to truly defend against the enemy. It's already very good. As long as the power is there, it's fine. Anyway, we won't be staying in this place for long. Sui was already very satisfied. He chose to set up the Leaf Fire Mystic Sun realm here to deal with the Big Dipper sect. This place could be abandoned at any time. The Bawang sect's future base would still be at the original Feng family village because it was sufficiently hidden. Chapter 11:16. Big brother, what's wrong? Sui asked when he saw Merciless West in a daze. Nothing, I just thought of something. Merciless West put one hand behind her back, turned around, and took 2 steps. Legend has it that when the truly terrifying soul controllers had set up the Phantom World, they didn't have to go through as much trouble as we do now. With a wave of their hand, they could mobilize an invisible force to quickly carve out strange patterns and set them up in the void. And the energy required to set up the Phantom World is also of an extremely high level. It can absorb the energy of heaven and earth to operate on its own, or it can be activated by the soul controllers themselves. It's extremely terrifying. Of course, such an existence is just a legend. Whether it's true or not, there's no way to verify it. Suyi's body tensed up when he heard that. Can a soul controller be so powerful? He couldn't help but be shocked. If they had such an ability, they could set up the Phantom World with a flip of their palm. That was really a terrifying thing. It seemed that even the 10,000 demons refining deity array in his hands couldn't do that. In fact, what Suyi didn't know was that the 10,000 demons refining deity array was much more terrifying than he imagined. It was just that with his and Merciless West's current cultivation, they couldn't activate it at all. The path of cultivation is endless. Whether it's martial arts or the path of the soul, it's all the same. Those powerful existences have abilities that are definitely beyond our understanding. Merciless West sighed softly and then changed the topic. I'll draw a formation map later and mark the life gate of the Leaf Fire Mystic Sun realm. When the time comes, I'll hand it over to the Green Emperor and the rest. Once the Big Dipper sect attacks, they can come and go freely in the Leaf Fire Mystic Sun realm. Okay. Suyi had studied the Leaf Fire Mystic Sun realm before and knew some of its uses. He immediately understood what Merciless West meant. By the way, how many Beast Emperors did you let the Green Emperor and the rest capture? Merciless West suddenly asked. She had seen Suyi and the Green Emperor whispering to each other earlier. Not long ago, they brought the Purple Elephant Emperor and the rest back. Merciless West had also seen them. That's right. If we can subdue those Beast Emperors, the Bawang sect's strength will improve greatly. There are many benefits. Suyi nodded and said, but the Purple Elephant Emperor and the others aren't easy to tame. I don't know how they are now. Back then, he had a hard time subduing the Inyang underworld, the Devouring Spirit Emperor, and the rest. However, the situation then was different. Suyi had plenty of time to waste with them. Now it was different. He was still waiting for a few more powerful forces to fight against the enemy. You brat, those Beast Emperors must have had 8 lifetimes of bad luck to encounter you. Merciless West smiled helplessly. It seemed that wherever Suyi went, all the powerful demons had been subdued by him. However, Merciless West also knew that the Green Emperor, the Inyang Underworld Emperor, the Devouring Spirit Emperor, and the Wolf-Head Demonic Bat had all benefited greatly after following Suyi. From this point of view, it was time to say that they were in luck again. Suyi chuckled, but didn't say anything. Merciless West waved her hand and said, "Go and do your own thing. I'll go and draw the array diagram." With that, she left. Suyi also left quickly and ran directly to the back of the mountain. In the cave, he summoned the mysterious space and entered it. Do you admit defeat? As soon as Suyi entered, he heard a mournful cry, followed by the Inyang Underworld Emperor's cold shout. One of his feet was in a pit, and the Purple Elephant Emperor's body was outside the pit. His head was deep in the pit. Scum, the disgrace of the demons. Kill me if you dare. A muffled voice came from the pit, showing his unyielding spirit. Oomph. After I finish this piece of beef, I'll have a taste of roasted elephant meat. On the other side, the Green Emperor held a long sword in his hand. A piece of roasted beef was skewered on the blade. He chewed it twice and spat it out. It was not delicious. Not far from him, the Dragon Rhinoceros Emperor looked at the Green Emperor with grief and anger. His eyes were as big as copper bells. Both the purple elephant emperor and the dragon rhinoceros emperor were covered in blood and wounds of various sizes. They were all caused by the green emperor cutting off their flesh. This old tortoise is really difficult to deal with once he shrinks his neck. On the other side, the devouring spirit emperor was facing a giant tortoise as tall as a man. He was fuming with anger. This was the true form of the heavenly dark armored tortoise. After it had manifested, it looked like a small mountain standing there. It was much bigger than the short devouring spirit emperor. Right now, the black tortoise emperor's head and forelegs were all retracted into the tortoise shell. He would not come out no matter what. The devouring spirit emperor was helpless. I don't believe it, I can't deal with an old tortoise. Huang Jian found a long spear and stabbed the tortoise's head into the shell, trying to force the black tortoise emperor out. Still not done. After Su Yi came in, he took in the situation and couldn't help but frown slightly. Master, sect leader, the Green Emperor, the Yin-Yang Emperor of the Dead, and the others stopped what they were doing and greeted Su Yi. The Purple Elephant Emperor and the Dragon Rhinoceros Emperor are very stubborn. We've used all kinds of methods, but they are not willing to submit to us, the Yin-Yang Emperor of the Dead said with a fierce look in his eyes. I'm running out of patience. I really want to chop these three guys into 108 pieces. The Green Emperor waved the long sword in his hand, his heart filled with anger. Su Yi narrowed his eyes. He could also see that the Purple Elephant Emperor and the Dragon Rhinoceros Emperor had been tortured countless times. They were covered in wounds, but they were not willing to submit. The other was the Black Tortoise Emperor. His tortoise shell was very hard and could not be damaged by ordinary swords. Once he shrank his head and legs, he was very safe. He was the most helpless one. I'll say it again. Submit to me, and I'll give you unimaginable benefits. Su Yi said softly as he walked past the Purple Elephant Emperor, the Dragon Rhinoceros Emperor, and the Black Tortoise Emperor. Bah! The Purple Elephant Emperor pulled his head out of the pit and spat. He said fiercely, "Human brat, if you want me to submit, why don't you look in the mirror and see what you are? That's right. Kill us if you have the guts. We're not even afraid of death. Why will we be afraid of your torture?" The Dragon Rhinoceros Emperor chimed in, glaring fiercely at Su Yi with an unyielding spirit. On the other side, the Black Tortoise Emperor stuck his head out but did not say anything. He only looked at Su Yi with hostility in his eyes. "Kill us if you have the guts." The Purple Elephant Emperor shouted again. Su Yi raised his eyebrows. He could see that although the three Beast Emperors were stubborn, they probably knew that he did not want to kill them. He only wanted to subdue them. Su Yi immediately figured it out. They were not afraid of death, but they knew that they could not die. They were fearless. The three Beast Emperors are indeed not bad. They have the demeanor of emperors. They have integrity. Su Yi pondered for a moment. He said to the Green Emperor, the Yin-Yang Underworld Emperor, the Devouring Spirit Emperor, and Huang Jian, "It seems like I can't subdue them by force. If that's the case, forget it. Bring them out." "Master, you're not going to let them go, are you?" The Green Emperor and the others did not understand and asked curiously. However, Su Yi did not say much. Seeing that the Purple Elephant Emperor and the others were lifted up again, he led the group out of the mysterious space. The Purple Elephant Emperor, the Dragon Rhinoceros Emperor, and the Black Tortoise Emperor were elated. They looked at each other and saw the excitement on each other's faces. Looking at this young man, it seemed like he really wanted to let them go. It had to be said that the time spent in the mysterious space was like hell for the three Beast Emperors. They had never suffered such humiliation. It was only the integrity of the demon clan that kept them from giving in. But now, if this young man really let them go and regained their freedom, the three Beast Emperors would definitely run as far away as possible. As for revenge, at the thought of this, the three Beast Emperors shook their heads. Looking at how strong the Green Emperor, the Yin-Yang Underworld Emperor, and the Devouring Spirit Emperor were right now, it was better to forget about the matter of revenge. They would never dare to do so in this lifetime. The only thing they could do was to flee far away from the Overlord sect, lest they get caught again. "Wait here. I'll be back soon." After walking out of the cave, Su Yi left the back of the mountain. The Green Emperor and the others did not know what Su-Yi was going to do. They waited quietly with the Purple Elephant Emperor and the others. Everyone was confused and did not know what Su-Yi was going to prepare. Su-Yi left for half a day. After a long time, the flaming winged demonic tiger flew over and said to the Green Emperor and the others, "Master has ordered us to bring them to the front of the mountain." The Green Emperor and the others immediately took action and left with the 3 Beast Emperors. When they arrived at the front of the mountain, the Green Emperor, the Yin-Yang Underworld Emperor, and the others' eyes lit up. They saw a huge iron pot propped up. Below it, piles of dry wood crackled and crackled. The water in the pot was boiling. In the other direction, there were 2 large wooden shelves. Below them, charcoal fires were lit, releasing scorching heat. On the ground beside them, there were bottles and jars. They did not know what was in them. Other than that, there were also people surrounding them. There were more than 100 of them. What's going on? The Purple Elephant Emperor, the Dragon Rhinoceros Emperor, and the Black Turtle Emperor were all confused. They were stunned by the scene. He, the Green Emperor, and the Yin-Yang Underworld Emperor laughed. Without saying anything, they landed in front of the big pot with the 3 Beast Emperors in their hands. I didn't expect that after joining the Bawang sect and meeting the sect leader, he would be sent to Chopwood without doing anything important. I really don't know what the sect leader wants to do. At this time, Nangong Mingyue, Wang Zhengquan, Yuan Yi, and the others were also present. A young warrior in the early level of Yuan Zhen realm muttered. Chapter 11:17. The Green Emperor and the rest arrived with the Purple Elephant Emperor and the other 2. Su-Yi saw them immediately. "You're here." Su-Yi nodded and said to the Green Emperor and the rest, "Wash up and put that old turtle into the pot to make soup. Roast the other 2. As soon as he said that, the place fell silent and the atmosphere became extremely strange. However, the Green Emperor, the Yin-Yang Emperor of the Dead, and a few others smiled happily. Before the others could understand what was going on, the Green Emperor, the Yin-Yang Emperor of the Dead, and Huang Jian started to wash up the Purple Elephant Emperor, the Dragon Rhinoceros Emperor, and the Black Turtle Emperor. There were wooden buckets on the ground that were filled with water. They splashed the water on the 3 Beast Emperors and washed them over and over again. The Green Emperor and the other 2 were very fast. In a short while, they were completely clean. Old Turtle put it in the pot. Huang Jian lifted the Black Turtle Emperor and threw him into the pot. It had to be said that the pot that Su-Yi prepared was really big. It could fit the Black Turtle Emperor, who was the size of a small mountain. Nobody knew where he found it. "Human, what are you doing?" The Black Turtle Emperor yelled when the boiling water soaked into his body. However, he did not panic. For an Emperor-level powerhouse, even if his cultivation was sealed, he could not be cooked in a short time just by relying on his strong physical body. Burn the charcoal even brighter. The Purple Elephant Emperor and the Dragon Rhinoceros Emperor were tied to the grill. The Green Emperor and the Yin-Yang Emperor of the Dead each stood under a grill and fanned the flames. The charcoal was burning red hot. The 3 of them had been with Su-Yi for a long time. When they saw this scene, they knew what he was going to do. "Are you kidding me? Sect leader. Is he going to eat the 3 Beast Emperors?" A new member of the Bawang sect said in a daze. He could not believe what he was seeing. Everyone else was also horrified. Those were 3 Beast Emperors, not livestock raised at home. Could they really be put into a pot and eaten? This kind of thing they didn't even dare to think about in the past. If this news were spread, who knew how many people would be scared to death? "Brat, do you think you can make us submit like this?" In your dreams. The Purple Elephant Emperor was being roasted over the fire, but he was still yelling. Under the blazing charcoal fire, the Purple Elephant Emperor's skin and flesh were soon burnt to a crisp. This feeling was much more unbearable than boiling an old turtle. "I advise you to give up. No matter what, we will not yield to a human like you," the Dragon Rhinoceros Emperor shouted. At this moment, they finally understood that Su-Yi did not intend to let them go. He still wanted to deal with the 3 of them. However, the 3 Beast Emperors were not afraid. Instead, they sneered. Knowing that Su Yi's goal was to subdue them, they were certain that the young man would not really kill them. As long as they remained stubborn to the end, that brat would soon let them go. However, they were wrong this time. Su Yi was running out of patience. His goal of capturing the Purple Elephant Emperor and the other two was to increase the battle strength of the Bawang sect and be of use in the upcoming battle. If the three of them did not submit in time, he did not want to continue waiting. Everyone in the Bawang sect will have a share of the meat of the three beast emperors. After eating it, it will bring great benefits to everyone. Su Yi said. As time passed, the flesh of the Purple Elephant Emperor and the Dragon Rhinoceros Emperor started to crack. A faint fragrance of meat wafted out from their bodies. The two of them screamed in pain, but their brows were tightly knitted together, unwilling to admit defeat. Seeing this, Su Yi smiled in satisfaction. He grabbed a bottle of seasoning from the ground and was about to sprinkle it on the two beast emperors when he suddenly frowned. This old turtle. Under his gaze, the water in the cauldron was boiling, but the Emperor Black Turtle did not make a single sound. Instead, its huge body floated in the water as if it was taking a hot bath. Its eyes narrowed, and it seemed to be enjoying itself. Obviously, it was extremely difficult to cook a beast emperor with boiling water. It was not as easy as grilling it with fire. You think I can't deal with you? Su Yi sneered. He took out a huge cauldron lid from his space bag and covered the cauldron. Before that, he added a bunch of spices and seasonings into the cauldron, as well as a large amount of spiritual herbs. His palms were like pliers as he coiled the edges of the cauldron lid and the cauldron lid together. Then, he used the power of fire to fuse them together. In an instant, the Emperor Black Turtle was trapped in the cauldron like a turtle in a jar. I don't believe that I can't cook you in a pressure cooker, you old turtle. Su Yi sneered. This method was similar to the pressure cooker in his previous life. All he had to do was release the air at the right time. After doing all this, Su Yi was secretly looking forward to this cauldron of turtle soup. Master, can we sprinkle the cumin now? At this moment, the Green Emperor shouted from the other side. He kept turning the Emperor Purple Elephant and grilling it over the fire. Let me do it. Su Yi carried a large bucket filled with oil. He flew into the air and began to rub oil on the Emperor Purple Elephant and the Dragon Rhinoceros Emperor. Crackling sounds could be heard, and the two beast emperors felt their bodies burning even more. They were in excruciating pain. The two of them screamed in agony, but there was nothing they could do. Su Yi sprinkled the spices again, and a strong, meaty aroma wafted out. It smells so good. The Green Emperor and the Yin-Yang Emperor of the Dead swallowed their saliva. They were almost drooling. The meat that the Green Emperor roasted earlier was not delicious at all. He spat it out after chewing a few times. The Yin-Yang Emperor of the Dead, Huang Jian, and the others were even more reluctant to eat it. Compared to Su Yi, his cooking skills were far inferior. Wow, boss, are you going to roast meat again? Why didn't you call me? Suddenly, handsome Su flew over from afar. The meaty aroma had attracted him. It's not cooked yet, Su Yi said with a smile. He sprinkled all kinds of spices in an orderly manner. The meaty aroma on the Emperor Purple Elephant and the Dragon Rhinoceros Emperor became more and more intense. Nangong Ningyue, Yuan Yi, Yuan Air, Wang Zhengquan, and the others all sniffed. I've never smelled meat that smells so good. Someone's throat rolled as he spoke with difficulty. But at the same time, they were still in shock. Those were three beast emperors. They were actually roasted by their sect leader. He didn't look like he was trying to scare them at all. This sect leader's way of doing things was really scary. Thank goodness. Thank goodness. Wang Zhengquan began to wipe the cold sweat on his face again. He finally realized how terrifying Su Yi was. Even the three beast emperors were so miserable in his hands. He actually dared to challenge him before. Now that he thought about it, he felt like he had just escaped death. Dong dong. On the other side, the Black Turtle Emperor's movements came from the big pot. I can't take it anymore. Let me out. The Black Turtle Emperor's muffled voice came out. Obviously, he was hitting the big pot. However, all the strength in his body was sealed, and any struggle he made at this time could only be in vain. "Old turtle, you'd better behave. What soup am I going to drink if I let you out?" Handsome Sue's eyes were almost glowing. He hadn't eaten meat for a long time and was craving it. At this time, he was roasting meat and stewing soup. He was the most excited person. "Human, let us go." The purple elephant emperor also began to scream. His whole body was about to be cooked. The blazing flames were about to burn his organs and bones. Even his soul was in a daze at this time. "Human, stop it." The dragon rhinoceros emperor smelled the aroma of his own meat as the yin-yang emperor flipped his body. His skin had been burned and his flesh was exposed. His whole body was glistening with oil. At this time, the two beast emperors felt that death was waving at them. They finally realized that he was not just trying to scare them. "Why should I let you go? Since I can't use you, I'll just make some contributions to the Bawang sect," he said calmly. The meat of the three powerful beast emperors could bring great benefits. It would definitely improve the strength of everyone in the Bawang sect. For these martial artists and savage demonic beasts, the energy in the meat of the demon emperor realm was pure and vast. It was a rare treasure. Its effect was much better than the average spiritual medicine. He ignored them and continued what he was doing. Dong, not far away, the big iron pot was hit again. However, this time, the force was much weaker than before. "Human," the black turtle emperor's voice was heard. However, it made Yi smile with satisfaction. The wisdom of the people in his previous life was great. The pressure cooker was too convenient. He felt that he could make a better one in the future and carry it with him at all times in case of emergency. The old turtle was enjoying it as if he was taking a bath at first. However, he was the first one who couldn't stand it anymore. "In a while, we'll be able to eat meat and drink soup." He ignored the black turtle emperor and watched the green emperor and the yin-yang emperor of hell continue to flip the two beast emperors. "Human, let me go." The black turtle emperor's muffled voice was still heard. He was beginning to lose his strength. After a pause, he continued, "Let me go and I'll surrender." No, you can't surrender. If you surrender, where can I drink soup?" He was shocked and couldn't wait any longer. He jumped on top of the big pot and shouted into it. If the old turtle surrendered, the soup would be gone. How could he not be angry? I surrender, let me go." The old voice of the black turtle king sounded as if he was terminally ill and had no strength left in him. It seemed that he really couldn't hold on any longer. "Master." Chapter 11:18. The sky gradually darkened. The front mountain of the Bawang sect was ablaze, and the aroma of barbecued meat filled the air. It was as if a bonfire party was taking place. "Are you finally ready to submit?" He heard the cry of the Emperor Tortoise and smiled. He flew to the top of the pot and pointed his finger at it. Poof! A fist-sized hole appeared on the lid of the pot. In an instant, a terrifying amount of high-pressure water vapor shot up into the sky, forming a white column of air that went straight up into the clouds. "Open the lid." Under Su Yi's instructions, the water vapor in the pot gradually disappeared. Huang Jian walked up and took out a knife. He cut a big hole in the lid, revealing the scene inside. White steam billowed out. When the steam was removed, a huge tortoise could be seen floating in the air. It was on the verge of death, and the hot water under it was still boiling. A unique aroma mixed with the smell of spiritual herbs and spices wafted out, whetting one's appetite. This old tortoise is finally enlightened. Huang Jian secretly swallowed a mouthful of saliva and said with a smile. Then he fished the Emperor Tortoise out and placed him on the ground. "Are you really willing to submit?" He raised his eyebrows and walked up to the Emperor Tortoise. "I submit." The Emperor Tortoise moved his head and lay on the ground weakly. His breathing was weak. "As long as you're willing to submit." Yi smiled and took out a bottle of pills. He asked someone to feed it to the Emperor Tortoise. The old tortoise's injuries were not light. He was almost half dead. If he had been fished out a little later, he would have been cooked. "Remove the seal on him and let him heal on his own. Su Yi ordered Huang Jian to look after the Emperor Tortoise. My soup. Handsome Su wailed bitterly. This pot of old tortoise soup was really out of the question. Although the half-finished soup smelled okay, most of the nutrients were not stewed yet. I'll make soup for you next time. Su Yi shrugged and said to Handsome Su. But suddenly, he turned to look at the Green Emperor and the Yin-Yang Emperor of the Dead. They had also stopped what they were doing and were looking at him. When Su Yi saw this, he couldn't help but ask, "What are you standing there for? Continue roasting." The two of them were stunned. Only then did they realize that one side of the purple elephant emperor and the dragon rhinoceros emperor was almost burnt to a crisp. They hurriedly continued flipping. However, in the next instant, the two beast emperors opened their mouths and shouted, "Stop roasting! Stop roasting! I surrender! I'm convinced too. Let me go." The purple elephant emperor and the dragon rhinoceros emperor said hurriedly, "What a joke! If they continue to be roasted, they would really be roasted in a short while. They might not even be dead by then." This brat from the Bawang sect really wasn't trying to scare them this time. With the Black Turtle Emperor's cowardice, their determination and perseverance were quickly shaken. "Admit defeat, my ass. How can you admit defeat?" Handsome Su was so anxious that he was about to cry. Seeing that the roasted meat was about to fly away again, he was so anxious that he flew around in the air. "Why are you admitting defeat? If you admit defeat, where are we going to eat meat?" Su Yi smiled and took out a long sword. He cut off a large piece of meat from the purple elephant emperor and the dragon rhinoceros emperor and skewered them separately to roast. Seeing this, the two beast emperors were devastated. Didn't he say that he would let them go if they surrendered? Why did he have to cut off their meat again? "We've really surrendered. Please let us go." The purple elephant emperor and the dragon rhinoceros emperor shouted. They were already scared and didn't hesitate to speak this time. "All right, let them go then." Su Yi chuckled and waved at the Green Emperor and the Yin-Yang Emperor of the Dead. "Yes, master." The two of them wouldn't disobey Su Yi's orders. They immediately removed the purple elephant emperor and the dragon rhinoceros emperor from the roasting rack. Then, just like the Black Turtle Emperor, they removed the restrictions on their bodies and fed them elixirs. This scene caused the 100 or so people from the Overlord sect to stare blankly at it. The three powerful beast emperors were all famous in the area. No one dared to provoke them. Now, they were in such a miserable state in the hands of their sect leader. The purple elephant emperor and the dragon rhinoceros emperor were half-cooked from head to toe. They were even sprinkled with seasoning and smelled delicious. The Black Turtle Emperor was almost stewed. Although he didn't look as terrible as the other two, he had actually suffered more damage. Sect leader is really not an ordinary person, a middle-aged man of the Yuanzhun realm exclaimed. He had mixed feelings about Su Yi. Wang Zhengquan and the others finally realized how terrifying the young sect leader of the Bawang sect was. They were very glad that they didn't encounter such a terrible thing. "Come, little handsome." Su Yi let the three beast emperors go. He didn't intend to bother them for the time being. He roasted the meat he cut from the purple elephant emperor and the dragon rhinoceros emperor and tossed it to little handsome Su. This little guy was too greedy. If he didn't satisfy him, he would probably be complained about later. "Thank you, boss." After handsome Su took it, he ran to the side and started chewing as if there was no one else around. "Today's roasted meat and turtle soup are gone. I'll treat everyone to a good meal next time," Su Yi said with a smile. Then he asked the Green Emperor and the others to bring the three beast emperors and prepare to head to the back of the mountain. Since the three of them had submitted, Su Yi naturally had to place a demon spirit contract in their minds. But before they could do anything, Merciless West suddenly flew over. She was so fast that it was as if she appeared out of thin air. "Big brother." Su Yi was stunned and looked at Merciless West. "A large number of experts have arrived. It must be the Big Dipper sect. Everyone get ready. I'm going to the center of the Li Fire Mystic Sun realm," Merciless West said in a low voice. She tossed a scroll to Su Yi and said, "This is an array diagram. Once the Li Fire Mystic Sun realm is activated, You must listen to my orders." After saying that, Merciless West disappeared in a flash and went to the center of the realm. Seeing that he was in such a hurry, He was also on high alert. After sensing carefully, he sensed a vast and powerful aura coming from the void in the distance. A ray of light was especially dazzling in the night sky. It was coming aggressively and extremely fast speed. Vaguely, He could hear the cries of powerful savage beasts. They must be the mounts of the people coming. "Everyone, stand properly." He glanced at the scroll and memorized all the contents. Then his soul power fluctuated and he pointed a finger. Along with a flash of soul power, the information in the array diagram was transmitted to the minds of many people present. This array diagram was actually not complicated. It only contained the most common markings and things to take note of. Hence, with Su Yi's spiritual strength, it only took him a few tries for everyone to understand the contents within. Moreover, it was very easy for everyone to digest it. Green Emperor, Yin Yang Ghost Emperor, Devouring Spirit Emperor, Huang Jian, the four of you are with me. Get ready to attack at any time. Wang Zhengquan, watch over the Purple Elephant Emperor, Dragon Rhinoceros Emperor, and Black Turtle Emperor. The Big Dipper sect is coming. If they cause any trouble during this period, I will hold you responsible. The rest of you are all under Nangong Ningyue's command. If you are needed to take action, Big Brother will inform you of how to advance and retreat through the Strange Doors illusory spirit world. You just need to listen to orders. In the Strange Doors illusory spirit world, do not act on your own. Once there is a mistake, your life will be in danger. No one can save you. Yi issued his order and explained it to Nangong Ningyue, Wang Zhengquan, and the others. Yes, Secmaster. Nangong Ningyue nodded first, indicating that she understood. I will keep an eye on them. Wang Zhengquan's face became serious and said to Yi, the Purple Elephant Emperor and the other two were severely injured and could not participate in the battle. At the same time, Yi did not have time to lay down a demon spirit contract in their minds. Therefore, they needed someone to watch over them to prevent them from causing any trouble during the battle. Let's go. He did not say much. He led handsome Su, the Green Emperor, and the others to the central stone platform. Watching them leave, Nangong Ningyue and the others became nervous. These people knew that there would probably be a fierce battle after today. The enemy was the Heavenly Dipper sect, one of the 7 second-rate forces in the Chaos region. They were many times more prosperous than the Bawang sect. Whoosh! A huge bird-type savage demon beast emitted a bright light. It was very conspicuous in the night as it flew quickly from afar. Judging from its aura, the strength of this savage demon beast was extremely strong. It had reached the Demon Emperor realm, and it was not an ordinary Demon Emperor realm. More than 10 figures stood on his back. They looked like shadows in the night, and each of them exuded a powerful aura. An invisible pressure spread out in the void. Even though they had not really descended, they had already brought about an unimaginably powerful pressure. I have already investigated. Among the demon emperors that follow the Bawang sect, one of them is the Yin Yang Underworld Emperor. His lair is here. Yi, that little bastard, is most likely here. On the back of the huge, savage bird, Yang Baikuan of the Gimdeo sect was among them. He spoke respectfully to a domineering middle-aged man in front of him. This middle-aged man was the sect master of the Heavenly Dipper sect, Hong Qianlong. They should be here. Hong Qianlong's eyes flashed with a fierce light as he spoke in a deep voice. Resentment and hatred filled the air. With his strength, he could vaguely sense some familiar auras. Today, we will flatten the Bawang sect and make that bastard pay with his blood. Ran Jianxian of the 7-Star Sword School was also present. His words were cold. For a moment, dozens of people on the back of the savage bird surged with murderous intent like a long river. Among these dozens of people, about 20 of them were demon emperors of the Heavenly Dipper sect. In addition, the Gimdeo sect and the 7-Star Sword School had mobilized almost all their forces. A total of more than 10 demon emperors came. Chapter 11:19. Whoosh! The ferocious bird's giant wings spread across the sky, and in an instant it descended above the Bawang sect. "Little bastard, come out and die." Hong Qianlung's voice was loud and clear, and it was mixed with vitality. His voice shook the sky and resounded through the mountains. As this loud voice spread, Nangong Mingyue and the others outside the Bawang sect's main hall felt their heads go blank, and they were about to faint from the shock. What a powerful human! On the ground, the purple elephant emperor, the dragon rhino emperor, and the black turtle emperor also came out of their healing state and looked at the sky in shock. Wing Zhenquan was also looking up, just like everyone else. In their eyes, dozens of figures stepped off the backs of the barbaric beasts and floated in the air, each of them exuding an imposing aura, especially the middle-aged man in the brocade robe in the lead. He was tall and majestic, and his domineering aura leaked from his body. His brows seemed to contain lightning, and everyone's body and soul trembled at the same time. Even the purple elephant emperor and the other two were no exception. The remaining dozens of people all exuded the aura of the Origin Emperor realm. It was extremely terrifying. Is this the power of the Big Dipper sect? Is this the power of a second-rate force? On the Bawang sect side, there were more than 100 people, and most of them were in a state of panic. They had just joined the Bawang sect not long ago, and seeing such a powerful enemy invading their territory, they were terrified. If they could not withstand it, their lives would be in danger. They had not obtained any benefits from the Bawang sect, and it was not worth it to lose their lives just like that. But now that they were in a difficult situation, they had no other choice but to bite the bullet and wait here. Oomph. At this moment, a cold snort reverberated from below. Then, several figures flew up into the sky and landed in front of Hong Qianlung's group, but there was a distance between them. These figures were none other than Su Yi, Handsome Su, the Green Emperor, and the others. Bastard from the Big Dipper sect, haven't you been slapped in the face enough? How dare you come to our Bawang sect? Before Su Yi could say anything, Handsome Su sneered. The dignified Heavenly Dipper sect actually suffered a great loss at the ominous spirit secret realm. A 9th-level Origin Void Stage expert couldn't even defeat a 17-year-old youth like Su Yi. With their status, this was definitely a slap in the face. You have a sharp tongue. Let's see if you can still be so arrogant later. A Heavenly Dipper sect's Origin Emperor said in a deep voice. Su Yi chuckled and said indifferently, "Last time, you were also so arrogant, thinking that you would definitely defeat me." His lips curled up as he stared coldly at Hong Qianlong, expressing the mockery in his heart. "Kid, I can't help but admire your guts. I thought you'd be like last time, hiding behind a strong. I didn't expect you to have the guts to appear in front of me." Hong Qianlung's tone was menacing as he looked at Su Yi and said, "Since that's the case, I'll send you to hell." As soon as Hong Qianlung finished speaking, he charged towards Su Yi. At the same time, a strange energy flowed through the void. It was invisible, but it instantly affected the surrounding void. Buzz, buzz, the strange energy vibrated. Su Yi, the Green Emperor, and the others instantly felt as if their bodies had sunk into a swamp. The more they struggled, the deeper they sank. It was difficult to extricate themselves. That's absolute territory. This is the energy of an absolute territory. This person's cultivation base is at the Origin Ancestor stage. He's not a true Origin Ancestor stage, but a half-step Origin Ancestor. Below, the Purple Elephant Emperor, the Dragon Rhino Emperor, and the Black Tortoise Emperor were shocked when they saw this. Given their knowledge, they naturally knew what an absolute territory was. Now that Hong Qianlung had displayed it, the 3 Beast Emperors could immediately see his actual strength. Half-step Origin Ancestor. These 4 words were like a huge mountain pressing down on them. The 100 or so people outside the hall all held their breaths. Their hearts were about to jump out of their throats. How did the Bawang sect, which they had joined, offend such an expert? "Kid, all of you shall die together. All of you shall die together with my son, Jian Xiao." Hong Qianlung's pupils dilated. His eyes were filled with endless hatred and resentment. The metal attributed Yuan Qi outside his body quickly transformed into a sharp sword. It pierced through the void and charged towards Su Yi. Previously, Merciless West had protected this kid. She was a soul controller at the 7th level Origin Emperor stage. However, he did not see Merciless West today. Hong Qianlung did not want to find out why. He only wanted to kill Su Yi. On the other side, the other members of the Heavenly Dipper sect, Golden Saber sect, and 7-Star Sword sect all looked at this scene with icy cold gazes, and all of them had a carefree feeling in their hearts. It seemed as if they only needed to wait for the next instant before the youth's figure would be slashed into a pile of minced corpses under this sword light. However, just as Hong Qianlung's sword light was about to strike, an unforeseen event occurred. With a whoosh, a bright flame soared into the sky and surged from all directions. Under everyone's watchful eyes, the flame appeared out of nowhere and wrapped around Hong Qianlung's body, causing him to disappear without a trace. At the same time, a terrifying fire-attributed energy surged. The long sword that was attacking Su Yi was also melted into a puff of green smoke. Sect leader. The people from the Big Dipper sect were all shocked. For a moment, they did not know what had happened. Just as their shock was born, large amounts of flames flickered one after another, covering an area of several miles in the blink of an eye. Even in midair, a terrifying flame appeared and formed a hemispherical shape. Everything below was engulfed in it. Only endless flame filled the place. Retreat. The people from the 3 major sects retreated quickly. They happened to be near the boundary of the hemispherical shape and were not engulfed by the flame immediately. The Phantom World. This is the Phantom World. The sect leader is trapped in it. Elder Wu from the Big Dipper sect was shocked. He immediately determined that their sect leader was trapped in the Phantom World. How could a mere overlord sect possess the mystic gate, illusory soul world? It must be that powerful soul controller who set it up under his guidance. The people from the Big Dipper sect, the Gimdeo sect, and the 7-Star Sword School were all shocked to the extreme. They found it difficult to accept this. How could an unknown Bawang sect, who they had never even heard of before, have such means? It was true that the Bawang sect had a powerful soul controller, but how could one person set up the Phantom World? This Phantom World is very extraordinary. If the sect leader is trapped in it alone, I'm afraid he'll be in danger. Elder Wu, who had also come along, spoke solemnly. It was not difficult for the 20 or so Emperor-level powerhouses of the Big Dipper sect to sense that the Phantom World was very powerful. The fire-attributed energy that it emitted was enough to make one's heart tremble. Those flames were not ordinary flames at all. Instead, they appeared to be a faint purple. They were unbearably hot and threatening. As they burned, the void was distorted. Let's go check out the situation. An expert coldly spoke, after which he was the first to rush out, directly heading to the place where Hong Qianlung had disappeared, nearing the fiery light of the mystical gates spirit world. The 20 or so Emperor-level powerhouses of the Big Dipper sect all followed, trying to find out if their sect leader would be in big trouble. The 10 or so people from the Gimdeo sect and the 7-Star Sword School did not move. They were all shocked and did not dare to go forward rashly. However, the moment they got close, tongues of fire suddenly leaped out of the ball of fire like dancing fire dragons. In an instant, the tongues of fire swallowed most of the 20 or so figures. Then, the figures disappeared without a trace. Oh no! Elder Wu retreated quickly enough. There were 3 people beside him who had also escaped disaster. At this time, they all flew high into the sky in horror, not daring to go any closer. Nobody would have thought that this Wonder Gate's illusionary soul world could actually still expand. Elder Wu, they should have been trapped in the Phantom Spirit World. Will they be in any danger? An old man in front of Yang Baikuan asked. This old man looked to be in his 50s. He was hale and hearty and looked somewhat similar to Yang Baikuan. I wonder what level this Phantom World is at. If it is too strong, I'm afraid even the sect leader will be in danger, let alone the others. Elder Wu said with an ugly expression on his face. They had more than 30 Emperor-level powerhouses, and Hong Qianlong, who was a half-step to Yuan's own realm. They had thought that it would be easy to take down the Bawang sect. After all, no matter how strong they were, there were not many Emperor-level powerhouses. Even with the help of the Xinjian sect and Liuhe sect, they could easily crush them. However, who would have thought that a phantom world would suddenly appear in the Bawang sect and swallow more than half of them? At this time, they did not know what the situation was. No matter what, a mystical gate, illusory soul world is not that easy to break. We will attack from the outside. I hope we can help the sect leader and the others. A powerhouse from the Tiangang sect said. Then, his Yuan Qi surged and formed a ferocious blade light that slashed down from the sky. However, when the blade light hit the light purple flames, it was like a clay ox entering the sea. There was no sound or movement. Everyone present looked at each other and realized that the situation was serious. Let me give a try. Elder Wu's face was extremely serious. They did not have any soul manipulation masters present. Therefore, if they wanted to break this phantom world, they could only rely on brute force. As he spoke, he slowly condensed a ray of sword light. However, just as this sword ray was formed, before it could even attack, it saw an incomparably thick fire dragon soar into the sky. Roar! The fire dragon opened its huge mouth and directly broke away from the flames below and rushed toward everyone. That huge dragon's mouth seemed to want to swallow everyone in one go. The people from the Tiangang sect, the Gimdeo sect, and the Seven-Star Sword School were shocked and immediately retreated. They did not dare to stay any longer. Even Elder Wu gave up on forming his sword energy. Instead, he rose into the air and fled far away. Chapter 1120. Huff, huff, huff. The Li Fire Mystic Sun realm was a world of flames. Everywhere was filled with raging flames, turning the vast area into a sea of fire with a faint purple light flickering. At this moment, Su Yi was waiting for them. He was in the middle of it, surrounded by flames. Beside him were the Green Emperor, the Yin-Yang Emperor of the Dead, the Devouring Spirit Emperor, Huang Jian, and Su Xiaoshui. On the other side, Hong Qianlong, the sect leader of the Tiangang sect, was nowhere to be seen. His previous ferocious attack had been destroyed by the power of the Phantom World. The Phantom World of the Phantom World has 8 gates: rest, life, injury, stop, view, death, shock, and opening. Once trapped, they will be distributed among the 8 gates. Su Yi said softly to the people around him. However, Hong Qianlong and the others are very strong. None of them are weak. It's up to us now. This time, let the Tiangang sect peel off a layer of skin from our Bawang sect. Su Yi's murderous aura surged as he held the broken sword in his hand. Even if they are a second-rate force, they will regret their decision to attack our Bawang sect. The Green Emperor and the others looked on coldly and were ready to strike. Kid, a total of 17 people from the Tiangang sect have entered the Li Fire Mystic Sun realm, including Hong Qianlong. Merciless West's voice rang in Su Yi and the others' ears. He said, Hong Qianlong is trapped in the ominous gate, but it won't hold him for long. Half of the other 16 people are trapped in the injury and shock gates. It will be difficult for them to escape. The remaining 8 people are in the stop and view gates. Let's get rid of them first. All right. Su Yi did not waste any time, and the qi in his body began to circulate wildly. He knew that the Death Gate was the most dangerous among the 8 gates of the Phantom World. It was the best choice to trap Hong Qianlong there. As for the Pain and Alarm sects, they were also ominous sects. 8 of them were only Origin Emperors. They wouldn't be able to cause any trouble in a short period of time. Other than that, Du and Jing were 2 even sects, so the people inside wouldn't be in too much danger, but they wouldn't be able to leave either. As for Su Yi, Merciless West, Nangong Ningyue, and the others, they each occupied 3 life gates. Pay attention. I'm going to start with 2 even gates. Merciless West's voice rang out again. Su, E, and the others saw terrifying fire dragons dancing in the air, as if they had formed a world of their own. At this moment, the fire dragon parted in a certain direction, revealing a flaming tunnel. Even before entering it, one could feel a frighteningly high temperature spreading over. The stop gate is open. Little handsome, Green Emperor, follow me. Su-Yi carried the damaged, blood devil-killing god sword and rushed into the passage with a murderous look on his face. Behind her, handsome Su and Green Emperor quickly followed. Walala. However, after they entered, the passageway disappeared as if it had never appeared. The view gate is open. Let's go in. Seeing Su-Yi and the others disappear, the Enyang Emperor of the Netherworld, the Devouring Spirit Emperor, and Huang Jian were also paying attention to the changes in their surroundings. When another passage appeared, they rushed in without hesitation. Kill. When Su-Yi and the other 2 rushed out of the passageway, they saw 4 figures in a sealed space with a panicked look on their faces. Su-Yi didn't waste any time. He directly attacked with his sword, and a vast sword aura directly shrouded one of the figures. At the same time, the Green Emperor and handsome Su also attacked. They shot out 2 terrifying light beams, each aimed at one of the figures. Oh no, someone is attacking us. The reaction of the 4 people from the Heavenly Dipper sect was not slow. However, Su-Yi and the other 2 had attacked too suddenly, causing them to be caught off guard. Rumble, the Green Emperor's attack landed on a middle-aged man, sending him flying and crashing heavily into a flaming wall. His body was burned to a crisp, and he coughed out blood crazily. However, the attacks of handsome Su and Su-Yi were blocked. After all, they were not strong enough. They were not much of a threat to the 2 martial artists at the 4th and 5th level of the Origin Emperor realm. How dare you attack us? Kill them. Apart from the injured man, the other 3 people shouted in a low voice. Retreat. Su-Yi and the others didn't want to continue fighting. They retreated quickly without looking back. Behind them, another passage appeared. After the 3 of them entered, it quickly disappeared and blocked the 3 people of the Tiangang sect. Damn it, they escaped. An expert of the Tiangang sect said in a low voice. However, just as he finished speaking, another terrifying attack came from another direction. The terrifying green light beam seemed to be able to penetrate the heavens and earth as it hit him. PFFF, the expert was sent flying and smashed into the sturdy wall of flames. He was severely injured. Another sneak attack. The other 2, who were not injured before, were also attacked by Su-Yi and Su Xiaoshui respectively. Just as they gathered again and planned to counterattack, Su-Yi and the others retreated into the passage again and disappeared. That Beast Emperor is very strong. His true strength is comparable to the 7th to 8th level of the Origin Emperor realm. We have to be careful, an expert of the Tiangang sect said in a low voice. He was extremely solemn. In the blink of an eye, 2 of them were injured. Moreover, their injuries were not light. Moreover, they were injured by the Beast Emperor. If this continued a few more times, they might really be in danger. The 4 people of the Tiangang sect gathered together and focused their attention. They were on high alert. Watch your step. Suddenly, someone shouted. The 4 of them looked down and saw 2 attacks coming from the sky. It was none other than Su-Yi and the little bird who had just attacked. However, although the attacks of the man and the bird were very strong, their cultivation was not profound. The 4 of them could easily block it. Oh no! However, in the next moment their hearts sank. Where did the other powerful Beast Emperor go? They reacted in an instant, but it was too late. Rumble, a green light beam, crushed the void and came down like a small mountain. It went straight for the heads of the 4 people. This attack came too suddenly and caught them off guard. When the light beam reached their heads, the 4 of them began to block it. However, in just a moment, the 4 of them were defeated. They were like 4 scarecrows that were hit by the light beam. PFFF, PFFF, the 2 people who were injured earlier spat out blood again. The blood in the other two people's bodies surged and rolled. They were in a daze. How dare you come to the Bawang sect and cause trouble? You shall die here today. The Green Emperor snorted coldly. Once again, he descended with a towering aura. As his aura spread out, the four people from the Big Dipper sect were shocked. Let's kill him first. One of the elites of the Tiangang sect shouted and suddenly attacked. The four of them moved at the same time and quickly surrounded the Green Emperor. Are you going to ignore us? Below, handsome Su said coldly. With a flap of his wings, a terrifying flame rose into the sky and burned through the 9 heavens. It was even more powerful in the Li Flame Dark Sun formation. At the same time, Su Yi attacked as well. He and handsome Su attacked the 2 people on the left and right. The 4 people of the Tiangang sect were not afraid of the 2 people's attacks. They could easily block them. However, strictly speaking, they could not ignore this attack. They had to retreat and deal with it. In this way, there were only 2 people who could block the Green Emperor. Rumble, a loud sound was heard, and the surrounding walls of flames were trembling violently. After one move, the 2 elites of the Tiangang sect were seriously injured. Su Yi, handsome Su, and the Green Emperor hid themselves again and prepared for the next attack. On the other hand, the Yinyang Emperor of the Netherworld, the Devouring Spirit Sovereign, and Huang Jian's actions were much smoother than Su Yi's. The Yinyang Emperor of the Netherworld and the Devouring Spirit Sovereign's cultivation were very powerful. They were comparable to the 7th to 8th level of the Origin Emperor realm. Although Huang Jian's cultivation was not very high, he could still play a big role in the sneaky attacks. Therefore, after a few attacks, they seriously injured one of the elites of the Tiangang sect and made him lose the ability to fight. After repeated attacks, the 4 of them stayed close to each other. They only wanted to protect themselves and did not dare to attack. Now it won't be too difficult. Su Yi was in the same situation. The 4 people of the Tiangang sect huddled together and defended desperately, not giving the Green Emperor a chance to defeat them easily. In this way, it would not be easy to kill several of them in a short time. Don't worry. Let them lose the ability to fight first. Since they're defending desperately, they will not have the energy to try to break the fire Mystic Sun realm. Merciless West's voice came from the void and was heard by Su Yi and the others. He said seriously, 2 of you stay here and wait for an opportunity to attack. Next, I will open an ominous door and you will kill the people there. However, at the same time, the ominous door is extremely dangerous. You must be careful and not make any mistakes. Don't worry, big brother. Su Yi's eyes were burning. He knew that they would have to face a more difficult battle. He asked Su Xiaoshui and Huang Jian to stay behind while he and the 3 Beast Emperors stepped into a passage opened by Merciless West. This passage led to one of the ominous doors, the Pain Door. What a terrifying flame! Before they even entered the Gate of Pain, they could already feel a scorching hot aura surging towards them from the passageway. In an instant, the aura enveloped everyone. Moreover, the flame was not only scorching hot, but there was also a terrifying righteous strength that whistled through the passage, making a sharp sound that made one's scalp tingle. Chapter 1121. When Su Yi and the other 3 stepped into the Gate of Pain, a fire dragon roared and pounced on them ferociously. The reaction of the Green Emperor was extremely fast as he knocked the flame dragon back in an instant. There are 4 of them. Let's kill them here. In the eyes of Su Yi and the others, an independent space appeared. However, this space was filled with terrifying killing intent. Flames burned fiercely and took the form of strange beasts with great power. The fire beasts danced wildly with their huge mouths and sharp claws as if they wanted to devour the heavens and the earth. They surrounded the 4 emperors of the Heavenly Dipper sect and pounced on them madly. During this time, the 4 Origin emperors began to be injured. Although their injuries were not particularly serious, they had lost a lot of combat power. Moreover, they had no time to think too much during the round of attacks. They could only defend themselves to the death. Even so, each and every one of those experts had been consuming a huge amount of energy. They did not even notice Su, Yi, and the other three entering this space. Kill. Su Yi waved his hand. The Green Emperor, the Yin-Yang Underworld Emperor, and the Devouring Spirit Emperor rushed out. The three powerful beast emperors besieged the four emperors at the same time. In an instant, the pressure on the Heavenly Dipper sect experts, who were already in a critical situation, multiplied. Not only did they have to face the attacks of the fire beasts, but they also had to be on guard against the attacks of the Green Emperor and the other two. In just a few rounds, the injuries of the four emperors worsened again. Roar. However, the fire beasts in this space did not have consciousness. Anyone who entered would be attacked. One by one, the ferocious beasts turned around and pounced towards the Green Emperor and the others. Green Emperor, go 3 feet to the left and enter the Gate of Rest. Yin-Yang Underworld Emperor, go 2 feet to the Gate of Life. Devouring Spirit Emperor, go straight to the Gate of Life. These words came out of Su Yi's mouth. Following his order, the 3 beast emperors all began to retreat. In this terrifying, ominous door, it was very easy for them to be trapped here. If they were indiscriminately trapped and killed here, it would inevitably bring about a lot of trouble. Fortunately, Su Yi, a soul controller, was present. He had a certain understanding of the Leaf Fire Mystic Sun realm. In addition, Merciless West was constantly communicating with him, so he had a better grasp of the situation in the Pain Gate. Chila. Su Yi himself also retreated quickly, following closely behind the Green Emperor into a tunnel. As the 4 of them disappeared, the powerful flame beasts turned around once again and charged towards the 4 from the Heavenly Dipper sect. The Pain Gate is really scary. After a while, Su Yi and the other 3 gathered again. The Devouring Spirit Emperor said with shock in his eyes. On his short body, there was a vague mark on his arm. It was caused by the flames, but fortunately, it was not a serious injury. It could be imagined that if they were also trapped inside for a long time, the situation would definitely be the same as the people from the Heavenly Dipper sect. The Leaf Fire Mystic Sun realm won't last for too long. Let's seize the opportunity and kill a few more people from the Heavenly Dipper sect. Su Yi said in a low voice. Then, he led the 3 beast emperors forward again. The Heavenly Dipper sect had a half-step origin ancestor. If the other party knew a little about the illusory spirit world, it would be very difficult to trap him. Even if they could trap him, it would probably be impossible to kill him. On the other hand, Su Yi had only given Merciless West 50,000 origin stones. It would definitely not be able to last for too long. The space tunnel opened, and Su Yi and the other 3 began another round of attacks. On the other side, Huang Jian and Su Xiaoshui were also harassing the Heavenly Dipper sect experts in the Stop Gate and View Gate from time to time. Their goal was to delay these people and not let them relax. Otherwise, if the 8 origin emperors of the 2 even sect went all out to break the illusory spirit world, it would cause a lot of trouble. At that moment, Hong Qianlong was alone in the Death Gate. There was an extremely shocked look on his face. What a great Bawang sect! You can actually set up the illusory spirit world. I have underestimated you. Hong Qianlong's face was extremely ugly. He had never imagined that a small Bawang sect could actually have the illusory spirit world guarding it. Moreover, the illusory spirit world was very powerful. Although it could not be compared to the one in the Heavenly Dipper sect, it could not be underestimated. In the Death Gate, flames filled the sky. Terrifying purple flames burned fiercely, making the place look like the 18th level of hell. The space was distorted and deformed, and there were terrifying wails and howls. The blazing space of flames suddenly contracted, carrying an imposing aura that could burn everything in the sky as it pressed down on Hong Qianlong. Open! Hong Qianlong's face was extremely serious as he let out a deep roar. The power of the absolute domain spread out like flowing water, forming an invisible and powerful domain that blocked the space of raging flames. Hong Qianlong let out another roar as the yuan qi in his body boiled. Then he saw that the surrounding space of flames seemed to be pushed out by a ferocious force, expanding at a speed that was visible to the naked eye, as expected of a half-origin ancestor realm elite. At the center of the leaf-fire mysterious sun realm, Merciless West sensed everything that was happening. However, no matter how strong you are, what can you do? Since you have entered my leaf-fire mysterious sun realm, if you still want to leave, you will have to shed a layer of your skin first. Merciless West's face was filled with a cold smile as he held up a space bag in his hand and opened it. With a crash, another 10,000 primordial stones poured out and lined up in all directions. Leaf fire burns the heavens. Kill. These words came out of Merciless West's mouth as he formed seals with his fingers. His soul power surged out and entered the stone platform below him. It followed the mysterious patterns and instantly passed into the Death Gate. The neatly arranged 2-star primordial stones began to be consumed at a speed that was several times faster than before. Huff, huff, huff. Within the Death Gate, the intensity of the fire instantly increased by tenfold. The raging flames leaped up dozens of feet high, and its color turned purple. Hong Qianlung's face changed. His absolute domain space seemed to be on the verge of melting. The heat wave assaulted him, causing his body to feel as though it was on fire. His entire body was drenched in sweat. However, he was still able to withstand the attack with his half-origin ancestor realm cultivation. Leaf Fire Mad Dragon. Kill. At the center, Merciless West shouted again and moved with a flick of his finger. Roar! A fire dragon that was thicker than a mountain took shape within the Death Gate. It descended from the sky and opened its mouth, wanting to swallow Hong Qianlung's body in one gulp. The massive body of the fire dragon twisted, crushing the void. Even the power of the absolute domain began to crumble in the face of this power. Get out of my way! Hong Qianlung shouted again and again as his face turned ghastly pale. The power of the mysterious gate illusory spirit boundary was still increasing. This was something that he had not expected. The two sudden attacks had caught him off guard and caused him to feel a sense of danger. Roar! The fire dragon pounced with a ferocious and unstoppable force. Hong Qianlung went through a few twists and turns and unleashed all his skills before he was finally able to defeat it. However, the boundless purple leaf fire beneath his feet continued to roast him. A half-origin ancestor realm is really strong. Merciless West, who was at the center of the leaf fire mysterious sun realm, said through gritted teeth. His face had already turned pale. However, he still had a cold smile on his face. He opened his space bag again and took out 20,000 primordial stones and placed them around him. Only 10,000 primordial stones left. Dealing with a half-origin ancestor realm is really exhausting. Merciless West muttered to himself. However, his hands did not slow down at all as he said, "Leaf fire purgatory." Sizzle. As the 20,000 2-star primordial stones were quickly depleted, the scene in the Gate of Death changed abruptly. The entire space turned purplish red in an instant. Numerous black shadows were formed in this space, transforming into terrifying ghosts. Tens of thousands of them appeared in an instant, emitting layers of terrifying howls. All of them pounced toward Hong Qianlung. Whoosh! The black shadows were like iron chains that stretched across the sky. They trembled violently and weaved through each other, binding Hong Qianlung within and trying to kill him. At the same time, the terrifying flames were still burning, and its power was even more terrifying than before. Puffed! A ghost claw attacked and tore off a large piece of flesh from Hong Qianlung's back. Die! Hong Qianlung's eyes widened as he shouted. He turned around and struck the ghost with his palm, turning it into green smoke and dissipating into the air. Sizzle. A chain flew out and locked onto Hong Qianlung's left ankle. Hong Qianlung's aura surged as he used all his strength to break the chain. However, all he did was a futile struggle. There were too many ghosts around him, and they blotted out the sky. Moreover, The chains appeared in an endless stream and attacked from all sorts of tricky angles, ready to take his life at any time. Even with Hong Qianlung's cultivation, under the power of the Gate of Death, he could not help but let out a mournful cry. The injuries on his body gradually became more and more serious. His chest, back, shoulders, thighs, feet. Almost every part of his body was covered with terrible wounds. Hong Qianlung used all his skills, but at the same time as he was injured, the number of ghosts and chains around him decreased. More than half of them were destroyed by him. Even if I can't keep you here today, I'll have to peel off a layer of your skin. In the center of the gate of illusionary spirit world, Merciless West's face was filled with anger as he said coldly. His face was getting paler and paler as his soul force was greatly depleted. The 20,000 primordial stones that he had bought not long ago were now half gone. Merciless West took out a bottle of spiritual liquid and drank it. After recovering slightly, he once again controlled the gate of illusionary spirit world. He knew very well that it would be very difficult to kill Hong Qianlung here with the power of the gate of Fire Mystic Sunday. After all, Hong Qianlung was a half-step origin ancestor, and he did not have enough primordial stones. Chapter 1122. The vitality stones on the stone platform were still being consumed rapidly, and the terrifying attacks in the Gate of Death were still ongoing. This was Hong Qianlung. If it were an ordinary martial emperor, they would have been reduced to ashes. I wonder what's the situation on the sect leader's side. The main hall where Nangong Ningyue and the others were was also completely covered by the Leaf Fire Mystic Yang realm. However, this was auspicious gate, and they were not threatened at all. Everyone looked at the raging flames around them, but it was as if they were in a different world from where they were. They had waited for a long time, but Merciless West did not inform these people to make a move. I wonder if this illusory spirit world can repel the martial emperor of the Heavenly Dipper sect. Wang Zhengquan murmured. The small Bawang sect actually has such a powerful ability. The Purple Elephant Emperor, the Dragon Rhino Emperor, and the Black Turtle Emperor had also recovered some of their strength, but their injuries were still very serious. However, they could not help but sigh. The Bawang sect was really terrifying. Otherwise, the three Beast Emperors would not have been captured so easily. In addition, even when the Heavenly Dipper sect came, Su, Yi, and the others did not escape. Instead, they set up the illusory spirit world and waited for the other party to come. This is a head-on fight. Both sides will definitely suffer. The Black Turtle Emperor said with a sigh. Beside him, the Purple Elephant Emperor and the Dragon Rhino Emperor nodded in agreement. They knew the strength of the Heavenly Dipper sect. They could be ranked at the top of the second-rate forces and could not be underestimated. Even if the Bawang sect had the help of the illusory spirit world, they could not really crush dozens of martial emperors. After all, they had too few people. In the end, both sides would suffer huge losses. However, even if it was just a guess, it was enough to make people feel terrified. A Bawang sect that they had never heard of could fight to the end with the Heavenly Dipper sect. If word got out, it would definitely scare a lot of people. Let's wait. I think it won't take long for the results to come out. The Purple Elephant Emperor's eyes suddenly emitted a strange light as he said softly. However, Wang Zhengquan suddenly looked at him and said coldly, "This old man advises you to be honest. If you dare to play any tricks, be careful that I will kill you right now." Since Su Yi had left the three Beast Emperors in his care, Wang Zhengquan did not dare to let his guard down. He wasn't an Emperor realm expert, so he wouldn't be able to escape if he had the chance. With his current strength, if he were to run away, it wouldn't be long before the Green Emperor and the others caught him. At that time, his fate would be miserable. Humph. The Purple Elephant Emperor snorted coldly and didn't say another word. The three Beast Emperors also fell silent. "Kid, I don't have many primeval stones left. Next, I will stabilize the Leaf Fire Mystic Yang world and prevent any more changes from happening. You can attack according to the formation diagram that you have grasped. Hong Qianlung is already heavily injured. Leave him to me. However, The Leaf Fire Mystic Yang realm won't be able to hold on for much longer. Seize this opportunity to deal with the people from the Heavenly Dipper sect. Kill as many as you can. Merciless West's voice rang out and entered the ears of Su, E, and the others. He took out the last 10,000 primeval stones from his space bag and placed them on the stone platform. Then he stood up and stepped out, disappearing from the place. Understood. In the healing gate, Su, E, and the other three had just finished a round of attacks and retreated into this place. Master, we've already attacked these two ominous sects several times. They're all heavily injured. A few more rounds, and we'll definitely be able to kill them all. Besides Su, E, the Green Emperor looked at him and said, there were a total of 8 experts from the Heavenly Dipper sect in the Pain Gate and the Wonder Gate. They were all heavily injured from their attacks. Coupled with the Leaf Fire attacks from the Death Gate, they were all heavily injured. On the other hand, although Su, E, the Green Emperor, the Yin Yang Underworld Emperor, and the Devouring Spirit Emperor were all injured, they were all superficial wounds and didn't have any serious injuries. The Leaf Fire Mysterious Sun realm won't be able to hold on for much longer. Let's go. This time, we'll directly kill these 4 people from the Pain Gate. Su Yi's body was filled with murderous intent. He shouted softly and took the lead to rush out. This time, Merciless West didn't open the passage from the central control. Su, E, and the others directly rushed into the flames. The scorching aura made them feel extremely uncomfortable. However, as they advanced according to the formation map, Su, E, and the other 3 quickly escaped from the flames and entered the Pain Gate safely. Kill the Green Emperor, the Yin Yang Underworld Emperor, and the Devouring Spirit Emperor all rushed up and madly attacked the 4 people from the Heavenly Dipper sect. It had to be said that the 4 people from the Heavenly Dipper sect were in an extremely miserable state. Their bodies were covered with charred wounds, and their blood was burned dry before it could flow out, sticking tightly to their bodies. The aura of these Emperor-level experts was getting weaker and weaker. They couldn't even display 30% of their peak combat strength. Bawang's sect. An expert clenched his teeth tightly. When he saw the 3 beast emperors rushing over, he couldn't help but feel extreme hatred in his heart. They were aware of their own situation. If they couldn't escape, they would definitely die here today. Die. However, the Green Emperor didn't care about what this person was thinking. He immediately struck out a green waterfall and hit the expert's chest hard, causing his chest to cave in. Boom! The Heavenly Dipper sect expert was directly sent flying. However, he didn't fly far before 3 flaming beasts pounced on him and tried to tear him into pieces. Kill! Su Yi also rushed out and attacked with a broken sword in his hand. He took a few steps and dodged the attack of a flaming bear. In an instant, he was in front of a Heavenly Dipper sect expert and slashed down with his sword. If this Heavenly Dipper sect expert was in his peak condition, he could easily resist Su Yi's attack. However, things were different now. He was already seriously injured. Since it was an attack from an Origin Void Realm expert, it could also take his life. Swish! Su Yi slashed down and cut open the expert's chest, revealing the beating heart inside. However, this person was an Origin Emperor after all. At the last moment, he managed to dodge the attack and avoid the attack of a flaming beast at the same time. Die! In the distance, the voice of the Yin Yang Emperor of the Underworld was heard. Another expert was sent flying by him. However, the Yin Yang Emperor of the Underworld was like a cicada in 8 steps. The 2 black lights on his body surged crazily. In an instant, he caught up with the expert and stomped down fiercely. Puff! The Heavenly Dipper sect expert's body exploded in an instant. He was trampled into a bloody mist by the Yin Yang Emperor of the Underworld and died an unnatural death. On the other side, the Spirit-Devouring Emperor also killed an expert after a few rounds of fighting. However, he also suffered some injuries, mainly caused by the sneak attack of the Flaming Beast. Go to hell, all of you! Soon after, the Green Emperor, the Yin Yang Emperor of the Underworld, and the Spirit-Devouring Emperor all finished fighting. They repelled the flaming beasts in front of them and rushed in the direction of Su Yi. The 3 of them exerted their strength at the same time. A vast power swept across the sky and oppressed the flaming space until it was hissing and roaring. This power finally fell on the expert of the Heavenly Dipper sect opposite Su Yi and crushed him into ashes. Under the burning of the purple flame, he turned into a wisp of green smoke and dissipated. How, after all the people of the Heavenly Dipper sect were killed, the surrounding flaming beasts all rushed towards Su Yi and the other three. Retreat. Su Yi shouted and retreated according to the formation in his mind. The Green Emperor, the Yin-Yang Emperor of the Underworld, and the Spirit-Devouring Emperor quickly followed. They passed through the barrier of flames and rushed into the door. How are your injuries? Can you still fight? Su Yi looked around and found that the three beasts had some injuries. He couldn't help but ask, "Don't worry, Master. It's just some superficial wounds. Let's continue to kill." The Spirit-Devouring Emperor's eyes flashed with a fierce light and a crimson color. Killing several Emperor-level experts had made them feel a sense of viciousness. This was something they had never experienced before. "Since you're all right, let's continue." Su Yi nodded and said softly. He rushed into the Gate of Wonder again and started to attack crazily. In fact, he was also injured, and his injuries were more serious than those of the Green Emperor and the others. However, Su Yi didn't care. This kind of injury wouldn't affect him in the battle. The situation in the Gate of Wonder was similar to the situation in the Gate of Pain. The biggest difference was that the flame attack of the Gate of Wonder was not as fierce. However, it was superior in that it appeared and disappeared unpredictably, causing the four Tiangang sect experts to be thrown into disarray. They had to be on guard against a sudden attack at all times. Kill. When Su Yi and the others charged in, another terrifying battle began. However, the final result was already decided. The four people in the Gate of Wonder were already at the end of their rope and couldn't hold on for much longer. "Open!" Hong Qianlong shouted angrily in the Gate of Death. His aura surged, and he wanted to kill his way through the 9 levels of heaven. However, the ferocious ghosts were still fierce, and the chains were still terrifying. They firmly locked him in the Gate of Death and made him face the great threat of death at all times. However, Hong Qianlong was indeed a half-step to the Origin Grandmaster Realm expert. Although he was seriously injured, his aura was still very strong. Buzz, 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 a powerful aura surged out of Hong Qianlong's body and rushed into the Gate of Death. "Su Yi, Merciless West, I will tear you into pieces and raze the Bawang sect to the ground." Hong Qianlong's face was contorted as his qi gushed out like a flood, blocking the terrifying attack from the Gate of Death 5 feet away from his body. Roar, roar, roar. An invisible force burst forth, and the terrifying malicious spirits that had just approached were fiercely repelled. The iron chains were also torn apart. The power of the Gate of Death had been greatly depleted, and at this time, it was very difficult to suppress him. Hong Qianlong's heart was filled with hatred. He had never suffered such a great loss before. He was the leader of a second-rate force and a half-step to the Origin Grandmaster Realm expert. How could he not be angry when he was in such a situation in a small mountain sect? Chapter 1123. As a sect master, how could Hong Qianlong remain calm at the thought of such an outcome? However, just as he was about to explode in anger, he saw an old man walking quickly toward him, stepping on the vast flames. Soon, he appeared in front of him. "Are you going to tear me into pieces? With your current appearance, you dare to speak such arrogant words?" The person who had just arrived was Merciless West. He sneered at Hong Qianlong. He had given up on guarding the central area and came here directly to face Hong Qianlong. "Merciless West, one day, I'll make you regret being born into this world," Hong Qianlong said sternly. His eyes were filled with endless hatred. If it weren't for this old man, he would have been able to kill Su Yi from the very beginning. In addition, there was no need to think too much about it. This strange gate, illusory spirit world, was definitely related to this Shi Wuqing. If it weren't for this object, his Tiangang sect wouldn't have been trapped here. A small Bawang sect could easily flatten it. I advise you to think more about how to save your life and stop boasting. Merciless West sneered. His feet stepped in the void, following a strange trajectory. The miraculous thing was that with every step he took, the surrounding malicious spirits and chains didn't seem to notice his existence at all. They completely ignored him. So Merciless West wasn't attacked at all. Hong Qianlong also saw this scene. His pupils suddenly shrank, and a stronger sense of crisis arose in his heart. However, Merciless West didn't care about this. He suddenly closed his eyes, and his soul power instantly surged. Roar, a ferocious roar reverberated, and then a flood dragon phantom was summoned out of thin air. It brazenly attacked Hong Qianlong. Along the way, the ferocious ghosts and chains were pushed back by the flood dragon. Boom! The flood dragon phantom collided with the invisible field outside Hong Qianlong's body, causing a dull sound. The space trembled, and then it was bounced away. Ugh! Hong Qianlong let out a muffled groan as he suffered a huge shock. He was already barely holding on. Now that he was attacked again, his qi and blood surged, worsening his injuries. I'd like to see how long you can last. Merciless West sneered again as she watched the flood dragon rush out again. There was another rumbling sound, and the space around the gate of death shook. Hong Qianlong's face turned pale again. The shock he received was not small. He wanted to remove his defenses and fight Merciless West head-on, but after thinking about it for a long time, he did not dare to do so. Firstly, Merciless West was no weaker than him in terms of combat strength. Now that he was seriously injured and Merciless West was in peak condition, there was no comparison at all. Besides that, fighting a formidable soul controller head-on within the illusory world of wonders was no different than courting death. Hong Qianlong was waiting. He would not sit and wait for death, but now was not the time to make a move. However, Merciless West would not let Hong Qianlong go so easily. Another flood dragon phantom was summoned by him. As it flapped its huge wings, the purple flames in the space stirred up thousands of waves of fire. Screech, the ferocious bird let out a shrill cry, and its sharp claws slashed down, tearing a sizable gap in Hong Qianlong's absolute domain. Humph. Merciless West snorted coldly as she controlled the Flood Dragon Phantom and the Flood Dragon Phantom to launch one round of terrifying attacks after another. Her own soul strength was also rapidly depleting. On the other side, Su Yi, the Green Emperor, the Yin-Yang Emperor of the Dead, and the Devouring Spirit Emperor had completely killed the four powerhouses of the Heaven Gang sect. When they retreated, the injuries on their bodies increased again. Fortunately, this kind of injury didn't have a huge impact on their combat strength, so they still retained their absolute strength. Let's gather our strength and finish off the remaining people of the two even sect. Su Yi's eyes were extremely cold. He followed the guidance of the formation map and traversed the leaf fire mystic sun world. The Green Emperor, the Yin-Yang Emperor of the Dead, and the Devouring Spirit Emperor were all boiling with killing intent. 8 high-level Origin Emperors had already died in their hands, which gave rise to a ferocious aura for no reason. "Boss, you're here." Su Yi and the others did not thank them. They met up with Su Yi and Huang Jian. During this period of time, the two of them had been constantly harassing the people of the Stop sect and View sect, causing them to have no time to divert their attention to decipher the illusory world of Wonder sect. They could only guard against sneak attacks at all times. "Let's go." Su Yi waved his arm and led everyone into the Stop sect. There were a total of 6 people. 4 of them were Emperor stage powerhouses. Su Yi's strength was comparable to the 3rd-level Demon Emperor stage. The weakest was Su Yi, who was at the 5th level of the Origin Void stage. The group of people launched an attack with the Green Emperor, the Yin-Yang Emperor of the Dead, and the Devouring Spirit Emperor as the main force. Huang Jian, Su Yi, and Su Yi assisted from the side. In addition, the 4 people of the Heavenly Dipper sect had already suffered some injuries. At this time, they were in a crushing state. However, The situation in the stop sect was very different from the situation in the injury and shock sects. There was no influence of the illusory world of Wonders sect. Therefore, Su, Yi, and the others spent a lot of effort to suppress the four powerhouses of the Heavenly Dipper sect. This time, it took a long time for them to kill all four of them with all their strength. In the end, Su, Yi, and the others' injuries were even more serious. There's one more view sect. Let's continue. Su Yi's eyes shone with a bloodthirsty light. He did not intend to let any of the people of the Heavenly Dipper sect who entered the illusory world of Wonder sect go. When Su, Yi, and the others rushed into the View sect, the power of the entire illusory world of Wonder sect had already begun to weaken. At the center, more than half of the last 10,000 primordial stones on the stone platform had been used up. At this time, the power of every part of the Li Fire Mystic Sun world was constantly weakening. The power of the flame is weakening. Let's put in more effort. It won't be long before we can break it. In the sky outside the Li Fire Mystic Sun world, Elder Wu and the other three people of the Heavenly Dipper sect were attacking again and again. They wanted to break the barrier of the flame below so that the sect leader Hong Qianlun and the other powerhouses could escape. Seeing that the power of the Li Fire Mystic Sun world was weakening, they suddenly became excited. Quick, let's attack together. The powerhouses of the Gimdeo sect and the Seven-Star Sword School, who were at the Origin Emperor realm, all attacked at the same time. Each of them exerted all their strength, trying to break the illusory world of Wonders sect below. Boom, boom, boom. Powerful attacks fell one after another, finally causing a loud roar. It was no longer like before, when the attacks were like stones sinking into the sea. Seeing that it was effective, everyone put in more effort. In the death gate of the Leaf Fire Mystic Sun world, Hong Qianlun raised his eyebrows when he heard the sound. On the other hand, Merciless West's face darkened. They all knew that the Leaf Fire Mystic Sun world could not hold on any longer and was on the verge of collapsing. Indeed, the color of the surrounding flames had begun to change, and the purple light was no longer visible. He. Let's see how you can trap me. Hong Qianlun let out a miserable laugh. At this time, his hair was disheveled. The ferocious bird summoned by Merciless West had shattered the absolute domain space, and his body had suffered even more attacks. As he spoke, Hong Qianlun's body rose into the sky. At the same time, his aura surged, and he wanted to break open the space. I'm afraid it's too early for you to be happy. These words came out of Merciless West's mouth. He closed his eyes again, and his 10 fingers moved quickly to form a mysterious seal. At the same time, his soul power spread out like flowing water in the void, triggering the invisible power of the remnant soul. All of a sudden, a terrifying bone dragon's phantom abruptly materialized. Roar! The skeletal dragon let out a roar. It opened its mouth wide and bit down at Hong Qianlun, who was rushing up. This scene came so suddenly that Hong Qianlun was not mentally prepared at all. It looked as if he was about to send himself into the bone dragon's mouth. By the time he reacted, half of his body had already fallen into the bone dragon's huge mouth. Kill! Shi Wuqing spat out a word, and then Bonehead suddenly bit down on him. Hong Qianlun let out a blood-curdling scream. Fresh blood flowed out of his body like a rain of blood, and then it was burned into ashes by the surrounding flames. After being bitten by the bone dragon, Hong Qianlun's spine was broken. His body bent like a soft prawn, and he fell into the void. The bone dragon followed up with another attack and bit down on him again. Faced with this situation, Hong Qianlun did not dare to be careless. He tried his best to mobilize the remaining energy in his body and struggled to move 200 feet away. Only then did he escape this attack. Merciless West snorted. His soul power moved, and the bone dragon turned around again and chased after Hong Qianlun closely. A terrifying force was released from the bone dragon's mouth, and it turned into a vast suction force, trying to pull Hong Qianlun in front of it. Run! Hong Qianlun felt a great sense of danger. and drag his severely injured body to escape. He knew that if he was not careful, he might lose his life here today. How can I let you escape so easily? Merciless West sneered and controlled the bone dragon to move. The bone dragon was a move that he had secretly prepared for a long time ago, and it was a surprise attack on Hong Qianlong. In the end, it succeeded. His strength was not inferior to his opponent, and with the help of the Leaf Fire Mystic Sun Realm, he was like a fish in water. After a few attacks, he had forced Hong Qianlong into an extremely miserable state. If he was a little stronger, or if the Leaf Fire Mystic Sun Realm was a little stronger, he might have been able to take Hong Qianlong's life. Boom, boom, boom. At this moment, the vibrations from the external attacks became louder. Every attack caused the Leaf Fire Mystic Sun Realm to shake violently. You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.